Welcome to Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicinda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP. We're a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and desire is to help amazing game designers find great players who love their games and help amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. We do that in a lot of different ways, but one of the main ways we do it is just sitting down with designers to play their games. Tonight we are going to be playing Barrow Keep. I'm going to let the creator tell you all about that in just 1 second, but it is a phenomenal setting for old school style play. And you know what? Hey, a lot of people have questions about OSR right now in the world and everything else. So if you're looking for a great designer to support with no questions asked, or you could ask questions, could still be a great designer. We've got Richard with us tonight. Richard, tell people a little about who you are, what you do, and tell us a little bit about Barrow Keep.
All right. Hey, I'm Richard Ruane, and you can find me at rru on Twitter, and I'm sure Tony has that posted somewhere. I was trying to log in to the chat, but I am a designer of Dark Designs of Verdigris, recently released Enoch's Wake, and then came out with came out with Barrow Keep as a zine game, last Zine Quest in 2020. And it is a setting for sharp swords and sinister spells and old school essentials, which is a clone of classic BX D&D.
Awesome. We're going to play it tonight, but we're going to play it with some amazing people. If you want to check out the game and you're watching on Twitch right now, you can type in !the game and it'll pop a link up for you. You can also use the link right below Max. Max, point down right below you. There we go. To go right to that at any point in time, to go check it out. We're going to talk about it a little bit more at the end, but let's meet our other players. Since I already mentioned Max, let's start there. Max, tell people who you are, what you do, and when you're not knitting, where they can find you online.
Yeah, my name is Maxwell Lender. I am online at Maxwell Lender, but it's spelled like Max Wellender because too many L's. It's a thing I'm just going to have to say all the time, every time I do this. I am a game designer and developer in a variety of different mediums. I just released a new game called .brawl. It's fun. It's great. It's out in the world. Yeah, and most of the time I am knitting, even when I'm online. I decided to bring my neon vomit blanket today because it felt like it would be some fun color.
The Barrow Keep is covered in those exact style of blankets. And so awesome. Well, let's speaking of design and of your most recent game, .brawl, let's talk to Sean next. Sean, tell people who you are, what you do, and where they can find you online.
Hi, my name's Sean Harkin. I design games, video games, sets, sometimes for TV and film, all sorts of things. I just make things, weird things. And you can find me at Not a Real Shark on Twitter.
Awesome. And then Danielle, tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online.
I am Danielle, and I'm a somewhat normal adjacent or RPG enthusiast person who has done writing and is working on a certification for teaching, and right now I decorate cakes at a store for a job. So
that's awesome.
that is what I do. But I'm here, and you can find me at Built a House on Twitter, not because I have built a house, but because my last name is Bilta, and that is how you spell it. So
let's talk most important questions. Fondant, buttercream, what do you like working with?
Okay, so buttercream is a lot easier to work with. It takes colors a lot better. Everyone wants their cake in whipped topping for some reason because it's not as sweet as buttercream, but it's like getting a whole cake iced in Cool Whip. I don't recommend it. It's kind of like weird. People do really like it. I have not worked with fondant yet, but buttercream, it's a classic for a reason. That's all I got to say.
The thing is, a lot of people haven't had good buttercream. They've had like weird store-bought buttercream. And which is fine if you like it, but there's a lot of better buttercreams out there. Go get one. All right. With that said, we like to make sure that we are all on the same page as we start play. We use a couple tools for that. Lines, veils, and the X card are the primary ones that we use, unless the system has another one in play. We've already had the opportunity for people to be able to put some of those in ahead of time, but we like to normalize that conversation on play. Lines are things in play. Lines are things that may happen in the world of our game, but don't happen in our game. So we won't touch on them. Play won't bring them up. They aren't things that we'll touch on through the course of our game together. We have a strong line against sexual violence. It's not a part of any of the streams that we do here on Plus One EXP. Veils are things that we may touch on, but we're handling a certain way, or we'll fast forward through them when they come up. And then the X card's the ability for anyone to say X or type X or message Richard X at any point in time to stop the game and say, hey, here's what the issue was. If it wasn't clear, then we'll move forward in a different direction without that. Could be the name of somebody, could be a piece of content they find objectionable, any of those things. The other thing is this is a living process. So if something comes up in play and we're like, we don't want to do that again, then we can have that conversation in an ongoing way. But does anybody want to talk about any of the lines or veils at this point in time? Add any more that they didn't think about earlier? Awesome.
I put graphic gore, just like any like intense descriptions of like intestines coming out or something. That's hopefully not, but you know, I didn't mean like no violence, no gore, but just
intestines
like
coming out is okay. Describing how the intestines come out one by one, viscosity, other things like that. Not anything else? Cool. If more come up and play, always feel free. We will take a break, probably about an hour and a half in. Richard, if you get to a good place for us to do that, feel free to call it. Otherwise, when I think we've gotten to a good place, I'll give it a shout. Just gives us a chance to get up and move around. But also, if somebody needs to hop away for a second, that's always fine. Lastly, all of our streams are learning streams. So if you've never played Old School Essentials, which is the system we're using tonight, or if you've never checked out Barrow Keep, our whole goal is for you to be able to ask questions, both for us as players, as well as for those of you who are watching, or if you're watching later, feel free to ask questions in the chat or to check on how something works or why something works. But with that said, I'm going to hand it over to Richard to take us into play.
Well, hey, I made this game, and we're gonna kind of go through it tonight. We're going to go through a little kind of mini adventure I sometimes run part of at cons to sort of get you guys acclimated. But the first thing, and really the most important thing about Barrow Keep, is that it is a setting of intrigue and romantic fantasy for Old School Essentials, which is frequently sort of a dungeon-y driven game. And Barrow Keep is very much, the sandbox of intrigue, lies, and relationships at a court. And so the most important thing about a court is that it's made up of tons and tons of people. And I want to know who the people are you're bringing to court tonight. So tell us a little bit about characters. And I'm going to start by picking on Tony.
Excellent. My character is Nerisse. Nerisse is an individual. She was raised in a town a ways away. Her parents were traveling entertainers, but they had kind of a circuit that they went on. She is a guard, for sure. I do know that. Also, I would say Nerisse is pretty hirsute, like a good amount of body hair, kind of thick sideburns, kind of very like reasonably attractive, sharp features, but definitely on the hairier side, and kind of caught the attention of the head of the guards because they were kind of always in the right place at the right time and seemed to just kind of pop out of nowhere whenever it was important to be somewhere. So that's Nerisse.
Nice. And then we're just going to go right across. Nerisse has, right next to Nerisse is Danielle's character. And Danielle, would you introduce us and make sure I pronounce it correctly? So.
Yes, and I can also change the name if that's
no. It's
yeah, this is Aoife. I think it's
Aoife.
just straight up Aoife. Okay. And she is a spy. The playbook is consort spy because she is the child of the consort, a fact that is secret to everyone at court. And she has arrived to keep an eye on things for them. And so I envision that she kind of grew up out of town, but well, like cared for via kind of just a mysterious person paying for it, and has now been like the truth being revealed to her, and she's being taken into court now. So I think she's kind of was interested in a lot of things, probably has a somewhat slight build because she is in court as an entertainer. I think she can juggle, she can do various acrobatics and tricks, but the main thing that she likes to pull out of her back pocket is fire breathing. So she's got some level of like probably hung out with the other entertainers in the town where she grew up. Maybe she knows Nerese's family. I'm not sure. I saw
love
that.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool. And I think that she just kind of like picked up random things, but is very good at like being in business that's not her own, but has a bit of a temper. Like I picked Scrappy for her, so she's very much like, what did you say? What did you say to me? Huh? You want to repeat that? About any sort of questions about her parentage or where she came from, or things like that. I assume she is kind of ready to go off on anyone, whether or not she's able to.
And since your relationship to the consort is technically a secret, what are you officially doing in the consort's sort of company?
I think it said that I'm an entertainer for minor nobles, and I don't know if like the consort is like, yes, I'm sponsoring entertainment, for the castle or something like that, or for the keep rather.
Right.
So.
And it can be very much both and. It can be very much like the consort, brings you as an entertainer whenever there is a public event, but also when the consort sponsors a dinner. You would be there. We in the book there are sort of some maps of like sample noble apartments, and the sort of receiving area of a noble apartment is set up for small private parties. Any party under 20 people is small.
Naturally.
That's what I've always said.
Yeah, it's very tiny.
So she's probably used to being the like living statue in the corner, just constantly doing something.
Nice. And moving right along, we have Max. Tell us about Stuck.
I picked
the Stuck.
I think Stuck makes sense. I picked the Imp, which is the Lost. I love that this is a thing. I didn't even keep reading them. I was like, nah, the Lost Familiar. I'm into it. And Stuck is just a weird and green little guy who was summoned to serve. This is going to just be an ongoing joke that I'm just playing weird little dudes all the time on these streams. But was summoned quite a long time ago to serve sorcerers in the keep that are no longer around. And so I'm just hiding out. I hide out in the kitchen, which is probably because I'm quite indulgent, and I imagine that that's where all the good scraps live. But am not willing to return to the depths from whence I came, because I've become slightly accustomed to the lifestyles within of these nice humans within the keep. So hype. I have mismatched eyes and gills.
Nice. Okay. And finally, Sean with Kaldare.
Yeah, Kaldare probably goes by Cal to their friends. They were an orphan who was working at an inn many years ago, and then the consort was passing through and realized that I had some quite unique gifts. I'm playing the ward, which is a seer, so I can see weird things of. I think it's described as you can see different times and places.
Yep.
So yeah, I have the consort decided that I had a gift that they wanted to sort of cultivate or used for their own purposes and took me on as their ward. And yeah, that's it.
All right. I think that's everyone. So the first question I want to ask you all is name some of the as you went through sort of your life path generation system, which we call a playbook. It's very different from a PBTA playbook. Who are some of the people? It occasionally asks you to like name a person. So name some of the people. You don't have to name. I think most of them ask for about 3 people. You don't have to name all 3 of them, but name some of the ones who sort of jumped out at you as people, and then tell me whether they are an ally or a rival. And I will start by picking on Tony.
So 2 of the people that I know really well are Lieutenant Kendall, who's the head of the guard, who's really the one who kind of brought me in. I was kind of surviving here in the keep when I first showed up, but I was mostly like hired muscle, a watch person for private business. I was nothing formal, but I kind of forged a relationship with the lieutenant during a break-in, and was invited to become part of the guard, and that's what I do. And the other person who's really important to me is Dima, who is the I want to say astrologer's apprentice. Who I'm a little obsessed with the moon for whatever reason. Like I'm just very moon focused. No reason why. It doesn't matter. It's not why my parents kicked me out. Anyways, Dima and I have formed a really solid relationship because I was oftentimes visiting the astrologer, asking a lot of questions. They didn't have a lot of time for me, but Dima was always interested in kind of looking through things, and so they've taught me a little bit about kind of discerning the stars, a little bit of augury, a couple other things too. So those are a couple of the people I've met in Barrow Keep who are important to me.
All right, and Aoife.
Oh, I also am not muted. Okay, cool. One of the consort's bodyguard, Gareth, does not like me very much. He's always scowling at me when I turn around. I don't know if that's because I get into a lot of scrapes and he doesn't know why an entertainer who is known for causing ruckuses would like why can't they leave the consort alone? And I think he's just, a big stick in the mud. And I don't know why they put up with him. But she also spends a lot of time, I think, in the library where she's befriended Zafir, the librarian's apprentice, who, like, this is kind of where she gets a lot of her reading and curiosity sated. And I think he lets me stick around because I help him carry books. But I think we're friends at this point.
All right. And Stuck.
Yeah, I don't think Stuck has many friends.
No, you saved me, and we'll go over that next.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are friends. That's fine. I don't think Stuck has a lot of friends in the keep itself. But there is one who is Halvo, who's an airship arcaneer who respects my ability to fit into small spaces, which I kind of assume has something to do with their grand size, but also that it means that I can like weasel in. Like I feel like probably I've spent some time helping them with some of their airships because they're like I can weasel into spots that they maybe can't get to. Even though I probably don't have a whole lot of idea of how it works, I'm like pretty okay with magic, and so maybe we've just chatted magic every once in a while. There is
this lever.
What about
this one?
There's also a hedge wizard that I certainly do not like.
Oh no.
Whose name I didn't get because we spent our whole interaction with them threatening to banish me. So.
Oh no.
But luckily, Calder helped me out of that one. But
and Cal.
Stupid hedge wizards.
Well, there's the Archon's cousin, who's called Morgad, and he doesn't like me because I had to intervene him to stop him from challenging my friend to a duel.
Oh,
and I didn't know if that friend was one of my friends here.
Totally down for that.
Yeah, I thought you might. Yeah. So I think that might have been. Yeah, I think that's my friend Aoife. And I do believe that I am friends with Aoife. If we both working for the consort, maybe there's an overlap there of we've been around each other.
You get to be publicly acknowledged as connected to them. I don't. It's not a thing, I'm sure.
I do, but I see it as very much as like this is my ward, not as in like this is my child ward, but this is my servant ward. Like they like attendant almost. Who can just see weird things sometimes and knows knows facts that they could not possibly know. And the other person is Magda. They're a wandering apothecary that I knew from my youth, and they seem to have found themselves here. But they kind of taught me about cleaning wounds and medicine when I was younger, and I kind of learned a lot from them.
Nice. Okay. So we've alluded to a little bit, but all of you have like a variety of connections. If this were a television series about you guys, it would already be in the second season. We would have already seen you have some adventures together. And Cal, I'm going to move backwards with you.
Great.
I believe that we start with the person who, if we were at a table, would be on your right, which in this case,
would be
given
Neris.
the vagaries of the online environment, it would be Neris. So tell me about sort of what happened between you and Neris.
So Neris and I it was after there was a visiting aristocrat. Yeah. I don't know how to say that word. There was a visiting aristocrat, and they'd held a small feast for them. And I was there. I was helping cleaning up afterwards. And it was late in the night, and my friend Neris was on night watch, I think.
Yep.
And I grabbed her, and I was like, "Here, we're gonna have some scraps. The fire's burning out." So as we were sitting by the smoldering fire, the Archon wanders along and finds us in the corner, and he says, "Hey, you two, we got some. I want you to go follow this aristocrat." And we were like, "Okay, Archon, yeah, sure." And we followed them to the barracks, and we heard some whispering, and then we reported this to the Archon, as we were told to do, but they just nodded and dismissed us.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. And I think let's follow that along that line. So Tony, we're back to you.
Yes.
Neris, what was sort of your big sort of two-person adventure with Aoife?
So when we were younger, and we were traveling between a couple of the settlements, just for some entertainment things, some bandits set upon the convoy, and we were able to get, like everybody else was able to get away because we kind of held them off, but the bandits did capture us and held us captive for a little bit. And now it was like, normally I would have just left, but I wasn't by myself. And Eva was there. And so really the big question was not like, how do I get away? Because that would have been easy, but how do we get away? And I really didn't have any idea how Eva and I were going to be able to get away. But I think Aoife came up with a really amazing solution to that problem. Aoife, do you have any ideas on?
Yeah. So
you can pick locks, Aoife.
Right. I think that, and it might be adjacent to that, but I think that while they had us, tied up and everything, I was like, I just need a drink, and you wouldn't begrudge me some water, and like took a big swig, and then having gotten a hand loose, gotten like a match, and it wasn't actually water, it was what I use for like fire breathing. I just blew it at them in their faces to distract them, while Neris was clearly capable enough to get away by herself and was like, all right, go. So
Nice.
I wasn't gonna abandon you. And so
I know, well, that
I think I love the idea that we were like, I can sneak away, but I had no way to get out of the cage, and so you were able to lure them in and breathe fire in their faces, and then we ran away after that.
Nice. Aoife, what happened between you and Stuck?
So, I think that I was around the catacombs. This happened in the catacombs, and I know Stuck likes to hang out in the kitchen, and maybe like when Aoife's been in to grab a bite or something, we'll hang out. Stuck seems like a great friend for like also things that happen at night or in weird places. And I was wandering around the catacombs, like probably after grabbing a midnight snack in the kitchens, and saw a dark cloaked figure open a tomb and steal something, and was like, oh no, I was kind of just caught flat-footed. Normally I would be fine hiding myself, but I think I just got a glimpse of them, and then Stuck was probably able to like whisk me either behind a tomb or just like supernaturally do something and hide me until they left.
I do think I know a lot of nooks and crannies of if I don't know that I know much, but I think many a hiding spot.
Probably, yeah. I think.
Or like, I probably know where some of the hidden passageways are. Like, it's not really a keep unless you have some false walls and some bookcases or whatever, right? Like those.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And it's the catacombs too.
Yeah, like there's no world in which there's not like a corridor that you didn't know was there that just comes back up out into somebody's bedroom that hasn't been used for 50 years or whatever.
Very, very impressive. Aoife's usually good at hiding, but she was like, you know how to hide.
Yeah.
I love the descriptor of just like, yeah, knows some weird places. Just a person who's good for weird places.
You want to hide in a normal place? Can't help you. You want to hide in a weird place?
And Stuck, I also just gave you some spells you can cast one of each day. So,
Ooh.
Yes.
So you can cast one a day. But
do I have to pick them? I have to pick one and stick with it, right?
Like, it's a one shot. I'm not gonna read over your shoulder to make sure you did that. So
just make sure you have components and have the verbal,
a focus and somatic parts and whatever.
And finally, Stuck, how do you know Cal?
So I mean, my big adventure with Cal was the aforementioned confrontation with the hedge wizard who discovered my true nature and threatened to banish me. And
the guilds might be a dead giveaway.
Yeah, but I think sometimes maybe they're hidden under a cloak. I think maybe it's a rare. Like, I don't know that I want everybody. They're sensitive. They're tender. They're not. I don't feel like they're for the public eye. Me and the gills. Nor do I think that I get much opportunity to actually use them within the keep. Like, I don't think I would be aquatic frequently. But for in some way, shape, or form, this hedge wizard determined my true nature and threatened to send me back below. And Cal managed to step in. I was probably quite overcome with panic, which I do not think is when I am at my best. And Cal stepped in and convinced the hedge wizard both not to banish me and also to keep my secret. Whether or not they will continue to do that, I feel like I don't trust it all, but we left. We left and everyone survived. Probably I planned many a day that, like, well, maybe just a small knifing in their sleep. Like, how can my secret be safe if they're still walking around the keep?
Right.
But Cal is very, very full of sense, so...
Much less if they're just walking around the woods, the local town.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of people they could be telling.
Yeah. I stick out, I think. They also, like, they're going to be like, yeah, that short green boy or whatever that lives in the keep.
That's when you said you were wearing a cloak. I was like, how big are you and how big is this cloak? Because that's going to matter later.
It was a children's cloak at one point, and... I've just walked, like, the end was too long, but I've worn it for so long that it's, like, worn itself up to be the right height from just dragging around.
Love it.
All right. Well, then the nice thing about trim is that you can just keep moving it up.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So, right now, I would like, let's have, first, I should tell you a little bit about, because these are going to be important people for you tonight. The Archon is Zora. And Zora uses she, her pronouns. Zora is a former general, and was awarded the sort of dominion over the lands of Barrow Keep about 12, 15 years ago, when the former family who dominated Barrow Keep just sort of had some sort of breakdown or implosion that no one really understood. And not a lot of them survived. Some sort of treachery, and the realm sort of designated a new archon, and that new archon was General Zora, who has been ruling ever since. Zora and her former consort were the parents of the heir, Eppo. And I do believe that Eppo is a he, him pronouns, who, Neris, you are Eppo's bodyguard. And we'll find out a little bit more about Eppo as tonight goes on. But finally, the new consort. If there's a season 1 of Barrow Keep, I feel like season 1 of Barrow Keep is all about the new begins with the new consort arriving to the big royal wedding with, or not the royal, the aristocratic wedding with the Archon, and that is Taggett, and Taggett uses they them pronouns, and that's sort of the initiating sequence of the original season of Barrow Keep. The four of you were, of course, the breakout stars. You completely stole the show. None of the writers expected that you would be as popular as you are. But since it's season 2 has been all about reimagining Barrow Keep as the story of the four of you. So that is kind of the big nobles of Barrow Keep. And
so would Taggett be my parent then?
Taggett, yes, is your parent.
Okay.
And Cal's adoptive parent, or not necessarily adoptive parent, but a guardian.
Are Zora and Taggett married?
Zora and Taggett are married.
So that makes them step siblings to the heir as well.
Right.
Or half siblings, if not step.
Right.
Half
step siblings, because Taggett only arrived in court a year ago.
Right.
That's
true. Yeah, step.
We've not really established what happened to to Zora's previous consort, but for a time Zora was single and decided to remarry and remarried Taggett.
Awesome.
All right. And Eppo, amiable, distracted, a little bit of a rake, fop, dandy sort of person, but not terrible. Not like an utter scandalous person, but a little bit of a rake, fop, dandy. And I think what I would like to do now is have each of you roll a d6. This will tell us a little about what has gone on in the last few days. Things that you've seen that let you know something out of the ordinary is going on and is up? I mean, besides the fact that Aoife and Stuck discovered somebody sneaking around the catacombs, and Stuck was assaulted by a random person, or all the other things that you've all described as happening recently. Let's begin with Stuck. What did you get on that D6 roll?
I got a 5.
And Cal, what did you get?
I got a 3.
Neris?
1.
And Aoife?
A 6.
6. All right.
Hopefully that's not amount of danger you're currently in, but probably.
It's hit points worth of damage that you need to take.
Just from thought, just from thinking about what's happening.
The times I've given
None
myself
of
psychic
this.
damage from rumination.
If only RPGs could simulate that well. Because I've had the same thing happen. Aoife, last night first I should ask you, Aoife, why were you up at well past the midnight bell? Why were you up and sort of roaming around the keep at well past the midnight bell? There could be good reasons, there could be private reasons, there could be entirely your own reasons.
Yeah, I think that she's a bit of a night owl in general, but she likes that this is kind of nighttime is the time when she can just kind of like be herself, and she doesn't have to be putting on a performance or show or mask or something else, and has been not sleeping super great ever since seeing people stealing things out of tombs. And as much as she doesn't want to be out and about, still kind of like doesn't like staying in her room when she's up. So I think she's up wandering around. Like she likes doing it in general, but has been a little more tense recently.
How much of the time you spend wandering around are you actually sneaking around?
Well, a lot of it. A lot, like both and when she's, why use a perfectly good hallway if there's a secret hallway? Why why do
There's
that?
this wonderful network of secret hallways. Why would you not use them?
Exactly. Just popping out behind tapestries, kind of sliding down banisters.
It's my wheelhouse.
Exactly.
Aoife, you were near the Archon's private study last night, Zara's private study. Would you roll dexterity? What you're going to do is just roll a d20 and see if you get equal to or under your dexterity score.
Okay, the full score. Yeah, I got under. I got a 7.
Nice. Okay. So you saw Gareth in the Archon's study. Now, the Archon's private study is not an area where the consort's bodyguard would need to routinely go. So it was weird to see Gareth moving around inside the Archon study. Even stranger that no one stopped him when he was trying to get in. But you saw him go into the study and then come out. And then just very, very quickly leave. But you saw a very strange expression on Gareth's face.
Like what kind of expression? So not like business like actually
No. I assume like from the way you've described Gareth, he always is scowling. at pretty much the world.
Hmm.
And it was sort of a more open, less stern, sort of kind of a moony, roomy expression, just sort of wide-eyed and sort of slightly dazed.
Like, what does she have in her study? What is actually in there? Yeah, that's like that is a piece of hot goss just by itself.
And being a bodyguard, Gareth is not like dressed in uniform pretty much ever. Maybe
Oh boy.
maybe in formal occasions, but bodyguards in general are not like, don't put on uniforms. You know, you wouldn't be a very good bodyguard. You have to be able to move around and kind of stick close and sometimes be discreet. So so you know, he had unfortunately for you, he had many pockets on that you could not possibly check all of because he was wearing just normal clothes. He wasn't like wearing armor. So who knows what he got up to while he was in that private study. And I do believe next, I think, Stuck, you had the 5, right?
Yes.
All right. Stuck, you don't normally sleep, do you? I mean, you're an imp from the underworld.
No, if you asked, I was going to be like, I just don't sleep. Why sleep? That's so much wasted time.
Why would people waste 8 hours a day doing nothing?
I mean, especially because the best gossip comes at nighttime, and humans are very silly about just like leaving everything available for folks to root through and to eat. Like they just don't even watch stuff for this whole like 8-hour period every day.
And there's whole periods where they're talking to each other and no one's looking around for an imp.
Yeah.
What's with that? And then they get mad if you overhear things, but you can't really help it. However, occasionally there's sort of these dreamlike ruminations that sort of come on you when you're just sort of by yourself in the dark in the kitchen. When there's not been a feast before and there's going to be an early start at breakfast, there's frequently times when the kitchen is just dead for several hours. And occasionally these ruminations come upon you. And last night you almost swore you saw like a very regal figure looking almost like wearing very antiquated court dress in shadows, shadowy dark clothes, but very antiquated sort of court dress and sort of a regal archon's tiara, all looking very, very old, like from the days when the sorcerers were around, and kind of followed by this sort of entourage of shadowy figures. I would like you to make an intelligence check.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I rolled a 2. I rolled way under.
Oh, nice. Yeah. You don't really like stop ruminating or actually move around, but it's sort of in your mind. You fathom that sort of where they go is deep into the catacombs, followed by this shadowy entourage. And you recognize the catacomb they went to is the catacomb that looks somewhat like it has sort of the hidden doorway sort of situation that the person that Aoife saw in the catacombs seemed to be investigating, but it's far, far deeper in.
And shadowy, like shadowy, like kept to the shadows, or shadowy, like semi-mystical shadowy, like not fully like substantial.
A little bit of both, but like nothing's casting the shadows. Like they're just shadows that are moving around.
Like hard to make out in a way that doesn't fully make sense in the real world. Right.
Right. And also way more three-dimensional than shadows should be. Like they're not like just lying on the ground or on the wall. Or,
I feel like that would be very upsetting. I don't want anything from the time of sorcerers to come back.
And then that's when they seem to, when they found this sort of open place that had been sealed away with no visible door. That's when the rumination just sort of stopped, and the sort of like whatever you were seeing sort of stopped. Cal, why were you up early yesterday morning?
I think that I couldn't, like, I think I had a dream about something that I had seen that wasn't supposed to be there. Like, just something that, like, didn't make sense to me. And this happens a lot. Like, this happens constantly. But it was just something that stuck with me. And then I had a dream about it, and that usually means a bad thing. So I woke up and I couldn't get back to sleep, so I just got up early.
That's okay. Would you make a wisdom check? You're just going to roll a d20 and see if you get equal to or under your wisdom.
That's a 20.
Oh,
Nat
no.
20, baby! By the way, for anybody watching who's not familiar with OSC, on a check, things work in reverse for OSC. So you want to roll low, not roll high.
Put that dice in dice jail.
Yes, that one is literally going to jail.
No, just put that one in the roll when playing in a roll high game. Like that's the secret. Like people put their dice in jail. That's just how that dice wants to roll. Don't punish it for that.
It doesn't matter what system I'm playing. I will roll the opposite of the good ones.
Well then, yeah, you know.
And finally,
You just never had a thought. Just no thoughts.
You've been having bad dreams, buddy.
Brain empty.
Oh yeah. You had I will say this, Cal. You're pretty sure that something significant happened this most recent morning. If only you could remember what it was. You're pretty sure you saw something, but as soon as you turned around, you're like, "What was that thing I saw that I was going to tell someone about this because it was suspicious."
I think Cal sees things that don't appear real all the time. So it might have just been like that. That wasn't one of them. That was just a memory. Doesn't matter.
Bit of undigested cheese.
Yeah.
The mother of all dream hangovers. Those will mess you up in real life.
Finally, Neris.
Yeah.
What had you up late this most recent night on the walls? I mean, you're a bodyguard, so you don't have to do big patrol.
Right. So it is kind of I think FO and I were like FO will oftentimes go up to the wall at night, like to basically play guard, and playing guard for FO really means like, hey, I want to go up and hang out with the guards and bring some wine and try to get them to drink, which is really just not ideal for the guards on the wall. It's really not what they're supposed to be up to. And so I am often like, FO doesn't know that I am there and I'm always following in those situations, but I'm there and always following in those situations.
Does Eppo not know, or is Eppo just sort of oblivious to the fact that people are always following him around?
I think yes, always oblivious. In this situation, literally thinks that he is being sneaky and is just really bad at it. Like, You know, puts on like their sneaky like we'll ask the like maid to put out their sneaky clothes, their sneakiest clothes for that night. And then the maid is always like, "Hey, he asked me to put out the sneaky clothes," and I'm like, "Okay, like good." I mean, he also put the rope ladder out earlier today. Like it's been hanging outside for like it's very 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 obvious. And so like it is a mix of unawareness, but it is especially bad.
Would you put on the black pajamas and the very soft, durable black shoes?
Right.
Slippers.
Is Eppo our age?
I believe Eppo is a little bit older,
Okay.
but not necessarily more competent. I also love the fact that Eppo is lying to his bodyguards about going to talk to other guards.
Right. Like this is the risky behavior is I'm going to go hang out with the cops.
And they won't tell the other pseudo cops that this is happening. No one will know.
And certainly the Archon and consort don't just get a report the next morning.
Right.
Don't understand. I'm slumming it.
Right.
Does Eppo always go see the same guards, or is it just whoever's on the wall?
No, it's like there's a corner of the wall that is like one of the oldest parts of the keep that's still kind of intact. So in addition to being like dark and at night, like the construction is kind of older and more wobbly, and so it feels like scarier and more dangerous, even though it's fine.
Nice. Okay.
So it's whoever's on that section.
Gotcha. Okay. Is this anywhere near the old East Tower?
I mean, if it's the old East Tower and this is the oldest, I feel like it has to be.
Yeah. All right. While you are out, Neris, I'm going to ask you to check intelligence. Your intelligence is really high, so I feel like I'm just dooming myself.
I rolled a 7, and so I succeeded.
Okay. All right. Neris, while you are following at a polite distance behind Eppo, you look up and see the old East Tower. Now, the old East Tower, no one goes into it. It's literally like sealed from the inside. It is, there is what looks initially like a star hovering over it, but then you realize two things. A, you know enough about astronomy to realize there's not supposed to be a star there, and that star is like awfully weirdly close to like the near sky. It is not high up. It is actually, it's not within like you could shoot a bow at it.
Right.
But it's low enough that you can tell it's not hovering in the sky.
It doesn't have the same kind of twinkle that the atmosphere creates for the stars in the sky. It's a little bit more of a stable and static.
Yeah, and it's actually once you also just you can see yourself moving in relation to it.
Okay.
Which you should not be able to do, of course, with celestial objects.
But if I stop, it stays in the same spot?
No, but you can sort of like, if you move, you can sort of like, oh, that is a little more to my left, and now it's a little more to my right.
No, but I guess my question is, if I stop, does it keep on moving?
Oh, no, I was thinking merely that, like, since it's only like a few hundred feet over you,
right,
you can actually see yourself.
Yeah, no, I got that part. My question is whether or not...
It's not, I don't think it's moving in and of itself.
Okay.
It was a 7, though, so it's really, that's not a bad roll. It's not necessarily moving. It seems that it does seem to be pivoting a little, like it's following something, like it's looking,
like it's orienting itself to something.
Right.
Okay.
The idea of you meeting us for breakfast and being like, I saw a star. It wasn't twinkly enough. It's
was
like,
not
oh, hot
twinkly
goss.
enough.
Hot goss.
Was sketch.
What did not twinkle?
I would like to know before, and I think we're about to go to a quick break.
Cool.
I would like to know, what have all of you been doing today such that you could not really meet together until late afternoon?
Sneak night is always a late night. And so like I took a nap this afternoon. We didn't get back till like early like morning guard change, which is right pre-dawn. So I've been sleeping for a large part of the day, and I'm going to be getting up in the afternoon.
And I should direct this question next to Stuck. Stuck, what do you do during the day?
I think I mostly lurk. Day and night, just like default mode is lurk. And I feel like probably I was a little shaken by I think I was a little shaken by the antiquity of the clothing. Like, not even so much like, oh, there's a spooky character or whatever, because I don't think that would be a thing that would really shake me. Yeah, like, oh, shadows. But the idea that there's something like, I don't like that reminder of the past, because I think I find, like, I don't like the idea of going back to being like in service to something. I'm like, no, this new freedom where I get to eat stuff. And I actually think I just like know too many passageways around the keep, so have actually been trying to find you guys all day, but keep like going through the route, and then like I'll be like, oh, I know where you usually are, and then I'll go, and like as I get there, you're like going the other proper way, leaving, and I just like keep missing everybody. And probably also at some point got distracted by food, but I think I probably have spent most of it like lurking about and just like having bad timing because I'm a little shaken.
Aoife, what was the first time Gareth turned you away from your parents' door today?
Oh, today.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, he's trying it on already. Okay. This is I think that she turned up probably like just before lunch, because like before they were, because it's a quiet time and usually there's a guard change, and she needs to find some way to be like, I'm worried your bodyguard is up to no good, and like turned up, and Gareth was outside when he's normally not super rigid about that, and was like, before she could even be like, I have a thing, he's like, nope, sorry, she's busy. And like, so, and Aoife had to leave before giving him a real good stare down, but not giving away that she knows something.
And there's a lot of the consort's bodyguard were on duty today. Cal, when was the first time you were turned away from the consort's door before late afternoon?
I think I was supposed to report for some sort of meeting, some sort of. I think it was we were meeting with a merchant, and I was supposed to meet with the merchant. I was supposed to be in the meeting with a merchant, basically as not a spy, but like are they telling the truth? Is there anything that I should know about them? Use your weird magic gifts. Tell me what's happening. And I was supposed to be in on that meeting. And Taggett never showed up. One of their guards turned up and they said they're not coming. You have to conduct the meeting. And Calder was quite taken aback by that. I don't think they've been given that much responsibility before. So kind of like blustered their way through that meeting. It went not good. It went bad. And then when they went to report to their guardian, to Taggett, they were told that they couldn't see them.
Finally, Neris, one question I forgot to ask you. When was Eppo sort of gently commanded to attend the Archon? Like in the time of day?
Yeah, I think so like guard change happens right pre-dawn. We like he was coming back, he got into his room, he got underneath his covers. I had just laid down in my room adjoining his, and then like bang 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 like time to get up and go see the Archon.
Right. Now, Kindle went. You didn't have to go because you got a guard change. At what point in the day did people come to see you about what Eppo does at night?
I think around lunchtime probably.
Okay.
So like I got to sleep but not well. And which is not uncommon on sneak night. But yeah, so right around lunchtime.
All right. And we'll go to break in just a minute. But Neris, you're one of the first to know that around 3 p.m., which tea time, afternoon tea time, Eppo and an entourage of the Keep's guard and some of Zara's bodyguard return to Eppo's rooms. And Eppo's entourage, including you, were moved to guest quarters. You were informed that Eppo was going to be in seclusion, but the way they said seclusion made it sound like Eppo is under some sort of house arrest. And from there, Tony is about 10 minutes about right?
Yeah, 2 minutes is great. So we can come back at about 25 after. We're going to take just a short 10-minute break where we are playing Barrow Keep with Richard Ruane. It is by Richard. You can go check it out at ttrpg.link/BKGame. I'll take you over to Richard's page on itch. If you want a physical copy, you can pick it up from any number of absolutely phenomenal retailers. It all links out there, but you can pick up a digital copy right away. It's a great system for old school style play using sharp swords and sinister spells, or OSE, Old School Essentials, which is what you are using to play today. But we're going to be back in just a couple of minutes to play some more, having got kind of set the stage of intrigue. It is, if you're not familiar with Barrow Keep, it is basically a setting of duplicity, treachery, and heresy, and we are going to come back and explore all of that shortly.
Great. We'll just...
We're coming back talking about the places in Texas one should or should not visit, depending on your numerous proclivities. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. We were also talking specifically about the fact that Texans and a lot of Southerners would, if you use the term barbecue, you're exclusively talking about smoked meats. Though a barbecue might have other types of things. Yes, Austin is an excellent place to visit in Texas. Dallas and Fort Worth are a large metropolitan area together, though Dallas is largely like devoid of unique culture. I'm from Dallas. Don't at me like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Also from Dallas.
Fort Worth
you wouldn't even have to add the word unique.
Yeah.
Dallas is just devoid of culture.
Yeah. And so there actually is like a 2 square city block downtown that's pretty great. Great art museums, actually. Great local science museums and other stuff like that. But very tight pockets that nobody local goes to. We did develop the state fair though. Austin's great for food and other things. I actually think San Antonio is the best city in the state. 100%. Between Austin and San Antonio, there's also a small stretch of land called New Braunfels, which is a different type of meat culture that's primarily sausage and smokehouses. It's a large German influence. Most of the middle of Texas is Germanically influenced. There's El Paso in the west. You can go there. It's great if you like heat. And
it is a long way to go, but it's worth it.
Yeah, and then Houston, Galveston are the armpit of Texas. You can at me Houston and Galveston. I don't care.
Yeah, I will not take an at from the second most Republican city in Texas. So
I have family that used to live in El Paso. They now live in Colorado, so they're much
out in the West Texas side of El Paso. Blah, da, 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 da. With that said, we're playing Barrow Keep, where you can use the term barbecue to mean whatever you want to, because it's a fantasy world of magic, and we don't care. But it is a game by Richard Ruane. We're using Old School Essentials as a system because Barrow Keep is a setting that you can use for Old School Essentials or for sharp swords and sinister spells. And I feel like there's a couple other systems listed on the website.
I went crazy supporting systems when I was. It was a testimony to how not to do stretch goals. I just started backing other systems.
All right, you got a 5e fantasy play kit beta version.
It will probably never get out of bed. It will probably never. Sorry. Whoa. Who said that?
With the basic SRD rules, Old School Essentials, Sharp Swords and Sinister Spells, and Troika, a great game. And there are some very Troika feels to the way that you do inventory and abilities and a couple other things in here that I very much love. And
the science fantasy came from, it was initially a Troika hack. It was not perfectly fitting Troika. It didn't perfectly fit anything. So, but the science fantasy sort of came from it initially being a Troika hack. It was initially a Beyond the Wall hack. And then sort of once it got a little bit Troika-ized, Troika sort of moves the science fantasy feel in. And you can't, once it's there, you can't.
Yeah, the plasma pistolets were a dead giveaway for Troika influence. And so, But that said, we just kind of set up our relationships with each other and the world we're playing in. Barrow Keep, unlike a lot of other D&D style games, does not take place in a dungeon yet. It's a courtly intrigue and treachery and maybe some romance. We'll find out what happens.
But in any case, Nasir, you are the first to know that something is wrong this afternoon. Yet others have seen hints that mischief, problems, issues are afoot. Gareth has canceled the consort's meetings and turned people away from the consort's door. And Zara apparently arrested the heir as of early this morning, interrogated the heir's bodyguards, and then dismissed Eppo the heir's entourage to get some distance between their entourage and Eppo. The entourage has been given a few moments to grab their belongings and move to some guest quarters.
So So I get the feeling from this interrogation, this is not like he'll be out in a couple days. Don't worry. This is like we don't have an heir anymore situation.
If this proceeds, there may be a renegotiating of the heir's like status.
Okay.
But yeah, and Nasir, you've been given a few moments to grab some basic belongings and moved to another smaller apartment. Just basically a room in more of a guest quarters. Are you there by yourself? Did they give you the dignity of a room to yourself as they moved you?
Oh, I bet you not. I feel like, especially with this going on, like I feel there have to be at least 3 bodyguards for the heir.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the options were like, hey, you can get shoved in with some of the other bodyguards, or you 3 can be in this room. And so I think that maybe one of us went to with the other bodyguards and 2 of us stayed here.
And you have not seen your boss, Lieutenant Kendall, this entire day.
I did get my +1 flaming poison sword of doom, and
it's a +1 flaming plasma rifle.
Plasma rifle. Also too, I just grabbed that. I've got that at the ready.
Which is really weird, just walking around
in my mithril armor of damage repulsion.
Yeah. It's concealable. Your mithril concealable.
Yeah,
armor.
my mithril. Yeah, I press a button and it pops out and covers me.
Right. It looks really fine under a jacket.
That's right.
You barely know it's there.
And so,
Nasir, you are the first person to know that something is clearly amiss. You're not being given any indication. What do you do?
So
it's about 3:30 in the afternoon by the time you're told to get your stuff and move.
Yeah, so I get my stuff, I grab it, I'd go drop it in this place. I'm like, y'all figure out sleeping arrangements. I'll do whatever. It's fine. I'll be back. And Nasir, she makes her way down because the reality is when something goes down, all information eventually makes its way to the kitchen. Like I know this. So that is where I am headed. I am headed to the kitchen. Because regardless of how short or long interrogation took, regardless of how much trouble somebody was in, like it was going to be a formal affair. And I absolutely know that FO asked for like something to drink and for breakfast and like made it a thing. And no matter how much trouble he was in, all those things were going to be taken into account. So, and then all the rest of the conversations and proceedings, there were servants around, and this is where they're going to go with whatever news they happen to have. So that's where I'm headed.
I'm not just here for the cakes.
And of course, you have a friend in the kitchen.
I have a friend in the kitchen. That friend gets into some nooks and crannies sometimes.
And where are you, Cal and Aoife? Right now, you've been turned away at key moments today from the consort's door.
I think Aoife was probably like stomped off in a huff, thinking it had to do with her, and had circled back around to make her second attempt, and probably ran into Cal coming out from that meeting or failing to get in the second time.
Yeah, I like that.
I think, Cal, you got into the receiving room of the consort's apartment, possibly. There was no sign of the consort. The entire bodyguard staff was there.
Okay. And was I given any time to ask any questions, or was I just like very quickly shown the door?
You were pretty quickly shown the door.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
There were several of like the consort sort of like, super close attendants who should not be on duty at that point in time. Mm-hmm. Were kind of sitting quietly in a corner, not talking to anyone. Remarkable mainly by the fact that they were the people who should have been there overnight or last night and should not be on today.
Right. Yeah. I'm assuming I couldn't get close enough to touch any of those people.
No, I don't think so.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I thought I'd try. That's fine. I mean, if I'm coming out of the room, I think if I've been turned away and I've seen this kind of scene, I'm gonna want to know what's happening, but I'm probably gonna try and go and find Aoife, and then lo and behold, I turn around the corner and I'm like, oh, great, you're here, fantastic.
Yeah, she's like, did you tell Taggett that I need to talk to them? And like full rant mid.
Yeah, I think it's just like a kind of grab of the arm and a turn, and we're walking. Like, let's go. We need to get away from ears. We'll go back to my quarters. We can discuss that there. And just very quickly getting away from there to have the conversation of like something weird is going on.
Okay. Yeah, she's like, what? Was he being weird? And yeah, as we get to the end of the hallway, Aoife is like, I think Gareth is on drugs. Like, that's her.
You always say this. He's not on drugs. He just hates you. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
No, he was smiling. That's the weird thing. No, he really is.
That is weird. I've never seen him smile. Never once.
Exactly. That's.
I don't know if it's drugs though. We need to find out what's going on.
Have you eaten today?
I had I had a really terrible morning. No. I was supposed.
Were you with the merchant that I saw leaving?
Yeah, it was a bad meeting. It was look.
Okay.
The concert was supposed to be there. They weren't. I had to do. It was bad. I was out of my depth. It doesn't.
They weren't there.
No,
okay.
They were supposed to be there. That was why I went to see. I don't know where they are. They weren't in the reception room.
Okay.
I got told to leave very quickly. Something's going on. They don't want me knowing what's happening. So something's going on.
Okay, and I think she'd divert and duck behind a tapestry to go take a secret hallway to the kitchen. Like, all right, at least we're getting food before we talk about this.
Do other people know how to navigate the secret hallways besides you? If your friends aren't with you, are they going to be able to figure out where they are?
I mean, I think Stuck obviously knows how to make their way around, but I don't know. That's up to. I think if Cal wanted to put a lot of psychic effort into it, maybe he could. I'm sure he could figure out. But I don't know if that matters to him at all.
No, I like the idea that there are like 3 levels of secret.
I feel like I've probably shown you all some very useful ones, from like if you need to get from one side to the other side, or if you need to get like specifically to the kitchen, or like to out of a major banquet hall or something, like some of the main points. I also imagine that I've kept many of them to myself.
Yeah.
Stuck, you also probably know not to tell teenagers until they're at least 18 how to leave a banquet hall using a secret door.
Yeah.
Because they're going to try to do it like when they think no one's looking at them, which is never when there's actually no one looking at them.
True.
Yeah, there's actually like 3 other hidden doors in the banquet hall that I refuse to tell them about. There's just like one that kind of everybody knows, and they just think it's a cool secret that I told them. But in fact, anybody who's lived here for more than like a chunk of years knows that door's there. It gets used so much that it doesn't even like sit flush with it anymore. Like if you were just looking, you could probably see it. But I was like, hey guys, did you know?
Aoife's definitely found the second one and thinks that she's super cool, and no one knows where the second one is, just entirely unaware there's a third one.
Let us go down to the kitchen really quickly. And what is going on with Nasir looking for Stuck and or anyone who might have information? Because the kitchen is in an uproar as everyone's dinner plans are being changed at the very last minute.
Oh, that's great to know. I just, like, how can I help? What food's going where? Like, I'm pumping for information in an indirect manner as far as like, what are the new plans? I don't have anything to do now. I'm here to help.
As soon as you say what food is going where, everyone sort of looks at you who's in earshot. It's not like the whole kitchen stops,
Right.
but 5 people who are look at you like the Aiden, who was supposed to sort of be the dessert chef tonight, has a tear sort of, as soon as you say that, you see a tear sort of go down his face.
I catch it before it hits the dessert so it doesn't get it too salty.
And he just takes a tort he was working on and just turns, and you hear him sobbing as he returns it to a pantry. The people are just, it is at once frantic and sort of desperate. And you hear Cook just going no, not that either. Well, we won't need that either. Nope, not that.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to look for Stuck while I just try to figure out what is getting canceled and see if it makes any kind of sense.
Stuck, are you normally hiding from the kitchen staff, or do you sort of just brazenly stand out as an imp in the kitchen?
I think that I think I'm often underfoot. I'm a little bit part of the scenery. I've been here, I assume I've been here longer than any staff member who has been in current rotation, right? And so when they get brought on, there's just an imp in the kitchen, and the staff that are there onboarding them already know that I'm it's just been a never-ending cycle of nobody's commenting on it, so I guess I won't comment on it also. And I'm very comfortable just kind of being underfoot, but also have a cubby in probably in one of the passageways that's near. Listen, I need my cubby. In one of the passageways that's near the kitchen.
A little miniature office.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just small. I just collected things like teeth. But I like trinkets. I like trinkets. Sometimes they're teeth. But I feel the little I think one section of the secret passageways have kind of caved in, and so have given me a long little spot that doesn't have an exit that I kind of use like a room, that I can still kind of hear what's going on a little bit. But yeah, I don't think me being noticed would be irregular.
How far is it from the door that Aoife and Cal are about to emerge from?
To my little spot?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's that far. I think probably I imagine the kitchen is quite large, actually. I assume that this is a very big, a large banquet kitchen. Yeah, I think probably the door that they're coming in. I to be honest, I think probably I could see them coming. I have some, I have a pretty good view of the main entrance from where I'm hanging out.
You see Stuck near his cubby, which Aoife and Cal, you also see. And I'm assuming, why don't we just kind of pull you guys together real quickly?
I was gonna say, I think that I would be I've been looking for you all day. I have been running around the hidden passageways of this keep all day, and I'm where have you been? And just shuffle you all into back out of the kitchen to a reroute through so we can hang out in the walls is my plan. Get out of here.
Aoife's definitely grabbed a drumstick off of someone's, or when you turn around, she just has food that she's gotten that she's stuck.
I for sure palmed a tart while we were like seeing that the dessert chef had taken off, and there's like a nice. It's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like it's probably very large. When I say palmed, I mean it's hand sized. In my mind, I was smooth and palmed it, but I'm like, get.
Normally, Aiden's job would be to slap your hand, but he's too despondent right now.
And I will be taking advantage.
So both Aoife and Stuck have acquired food by ill-gotten means by the time the four of you are together near Stuck's cubby. I should ask you this. Is there anything you're not telling each other? At this point?
I'm not
I
telling
didn't know
anybody
anything.
I mean, Cal, obviously there's you are you hiding the fact that you've clearly forgotten something, or
No, I don't think I'm hiding it. I don't think Cal brings it up because having weird dreams and seeing things and then forgetting things that they've seen because like they saw a castle that wasn't this castle in the castle, like it's too much to tell them every little weird thing that I see and hear and forget because I can see through time and space and minds. It's just not a worth. It doesn't cross their mind that they're hiding anything.
Nasir, anything you want to hold back at this point?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a pretty kind of direct relaying. Like, yeah, I saw a really low. It was kind of like a star. Wasn't high up enough to be one. You know, maybe a few hundred feet. Wasn't really moving, but it was. It wasn't moving around, but it was kind of changing the way it was pointed and looking around, it seems like. And I look at Stuck. Stuck, did you ever go in the East Tower? Was that sealed up before you got here?
Have I ever been in the East Tower? I feel like
that's when they stopped having sorcerers in Barrow Keep, is when they sealed the East Tower.
So like I've probably been there, but not for like hundreds of years.
It's been about 150, maybe 200 years, a little longer than that. They sort of pulled the old sorcerer out and arrested him. And there was some destruction inside the tower, but that's all you know.
Okay.
Stars, that's all cool. So stars were in the sky, not moving. Awesome.
A star, not like, I mean, yes, in the sky, but like not where the stars belong, lower, like where a bird would be.
Okay.
Starbird?
Something like that.
Interesting.
But just kind of hovering.
I finally have proof that Gareth should be fired. So if I could just get to tag it, we could tell them. But you don't. But so, and does Neris tell us about Eppo being moved and stuff too?
Oh, I don't think that's even really like. I think she assumes that's common knowledge. Like, like that seems like it should have been big enough. Like that, it doesn't. I think occur to Neris to inform you all about that part because it just seems like everybody should know at this point in time. So maybe not. Yeah, I don't know that I do.
Yeah, I feel like I might have heard it in the kitchens. Like, I feel like there's no way that big of a reorganization would happen without it just being like in.
Definitely, Eppo has been put on bread and water for the evening. So, bread, cheese, enough for but then just soup. Eppo's dinner order has been canceled.
Wow, did Sneak Night go really badly?
I mean, Sneak Night went like it normally did. Now, Sneak morning after is usually just sleeping, and I have no idea what's going on. They just moved us out of the quarters. They moved us to the guest rooms, which Those things aren't made for long. I mean, it's not the nice guest rooms either. It's like the guest of a guest rooms. But like what happened with Gareth?
I was, doing my own sneaking around at night and just surveying. I was surveying. And he was outside of Zora's quarters, but he was leaving and he looked like moony, like not scowling and like not in uniform. You don't think
that part's not weird.
That it's all very weird.
No, I mean the not being in you, like where, like you like points down at the clothes he's wearing, and it's like we don't.
Yeah, but like he wasn't even on duty, so like Taggart might have not even been there, and you don't think that like Zora banished them? Were they having problems? Like, is that why we can't find them? Is Gareth doing some kind of overthrow?
It's a big jump.
Okay, well,
what's my like? So you have a bad relationship with Gareth. Gareth and I are both bodyguards, but he's a more important bodyguard than I am. Is this like superior officer to lower rank officer
it's
relationship?
A little bit distinct because each of the three rulers has their own sort of bodyguard hierarchy.
Right. But we bodyguard a kid, or I mean, like a grown adult child, and they bodyguard actual ruling individuals.
Right.
Correct?
But you've been there longer.
Okay, so it's not. Yeah. Okay. So
like the consort is new. Eppo has been there since Eppo was born.
Okay. I mean, I can try to go see what's going on, but I don't know that they'll tell me anything.
I mean, there are other ways to learn things. I feel like I also there's like in my heart of hearts, I'm like, dinner's been canceled. Hold on. And I just like leave and go to the kitchen and come back and just like hand you a plate of food, Aoife. And I'm like, you're gonna need this. And then we'll recount the situation with the catacombs and the unpleasant figures. Because I feel like it's a little more off-putting for you than it is for me. Even just like the catacombs in general might be a little bit more off-putting. So I'm like, here, eat this. And I'm going to tell you about my weird night.
Yeah. Aoife looks very happy.
I feel like there has to be, do I know of a passage that would lead us to like a back route to check on Eppo?
Roll a d6 and tell me what you get.
I rolled a 3. Positively mediocre.
There is a route that connects to some routes that connect to the royal apartments. You know that those are notoriously unreliable because obviously they would not want people just popping into the royal apartments. So I think it's more that you would need either to pick locks. So they're like, if you enter those from the royal apartments, you can sort of get into the maze of secret hallways. But if you try to enter from the maze of secret hallways into the area that has the royal apartments in it, you would potentially get locked in, into some hallways. So you would either need the key that supposedly people like Zara and Eppo would have, or you would need to have, and theoretically that has been seized, since that seems like the thing you would not want somebody who's being confined to quarters to have, or you would need an excellent lockpick.
Aoife just pauses mid turkey drumstick.
I'm like describing this, right? I'm like, I don't actually know the full passway, but I do know that there's a route, there's a series of passageways that connect to a series of passageways that also connect to another series of passageways that I haven't ever been able to get past.
I mean,
But if my
you could
mental map
also-
is correct,
in theory, you could also break down the door, but that would be fairly noisy.
yeah, that might negate the point of taking a secret passageway. But I always get met no matter which way I go, and I've probably like in my mind mapped every like dead end that I've gotten to. But we could try it.
Wow, well, good thing you know somebody who can pick locks, I guess. And like fully in the middle, like as she's been chewing food and thinking, she just waves the drumstick at Cal and is like, could you tell if someone's been like enchanted or whatever? Like if someone is like mind controlled or something?
If I can touch them, maybe.
Oh. Maybe you can give Gareth a visit and see.
I am worried about Taggart. Like, Epo's. Sorry, Nazir, right? I know Epo's your charge and all that, but like,
I mean, he's not going anywhere.
but less on my concern list of. I don't. It's weird that I'm turned away from the consort. It's weird that they didn't show up to the meeting and then I was turned away. These things are probably connected. This is too much coincidence. Stuck, did you hear anything about the consort's meals?
The consort's meals have all been cut down to staff levels.
Well, that's weird.
Let's just say we're eating better than they are.
The consort would normally, like the consorts, part of the reason that you have a consort is for the consort to come and entertain people who, Zara can't, all keep track of. So the consort having a dinner multiple times a week is kind of just an expectation of having the office of consort. The Taggart is canceling their dinner, or also that they're canceling courses.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not a sit down dinner sort of order. This is a bring a cold sideboard up.
Right. It's also no longer the, hey, here's what we want for this meal. It's now like, hey, here's what we made for everyone else. You get that.
Maybe on the way to Epo, do any of those passageways connect to Zara's quarters? Because
in theory, they're all very close.
Right.
Yeah, we should swing by. Whoever's going there should swing by and see what's up. I saw Gareth outside the quarters, but I didn't see her. And I haven't seen her all day.
And she was not in the sitting room either. When you were briefly there.
Okay.
Cal.
Okay.
I'm gonna slide back in and grab the bread and cheese board, and then I'm gonna like slink over to the dessert chef and like wink and like take one of the tarts and put it in my pocket and just be like,
Aiden is too despondent to really stop you from walking away with a tart.
oh, I'm indicating that I'm going to try to take dinner to Evo and sneak one of these tarts to him to try to console him emotionally.
Aiden is so deeply
That's
despondent about like the canceled dinner plan, and you see sort of like as you wink, like it sort of reflects in Aiden's sort of near dead eyes.
All right.
But waves as you take the tart. You can't tell if he's trying to wave your hand away,
or if it's just like,
or it's just like, please take
whatever.
Give it to someone who'll appreciate it.
Well, then I take
because clearly no one around here does.
Then I take a second tart.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but
There's also the catacomb situation. Just saying. Just saying. Less. I don't know if that's a thing we need to look into.
You're always obsessed with going down into catacombs and slaying things and taking what's theirs. I don't understand what you think this is all about. Stuck.
There's more. Can we do the spooky ghosts after we figured out the other terrible flesh and blood things that are happening? And then we can do spooky ghosts.
It's the middle of the daytime. Spooky ghosts are never out in the middle of the daytime. You got to wait till nighttime for spooky ghosts.
They could all be spooky ghosts.
The nice thing about the catacombs is it's always nighttime there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I guess
I'm here for. I'm here for getting through. I've wanted to get through those doors. I have lived for a century and have not learned how to pick a lock. So I am anxious.
Yes. And
to get through there.
Aoife grabs Cal's arm and is like, come on, we're getting you to figure out if people are possessed. Time for spooky live people time.
You really don't know what I do you?
Nobody knows what you do.
Yeah, no, it's no. Cal, most of this conversation has just been staring off into space. Like, didn't grab any breakfast, didn't grab any. Is often just staring off into space.
Do you even know?
There's 100% knows what you do, but has never told anyone.
Aoife gives Cal the second tart that Nearest had got that Aoife has lifted off of her and is giving it to Cal and is pushing Cal forward into the secret passageway.
Yeah, that's fine. Cal's following.
You guys are in the secret passageways, which Aoife and Stuck are sort of the. I mean, you don't want to be the known masters of the secret passageways, so you're the secret masters of the secret passageways. If you're the known masters of the secret passageways, that's really sort of defeats the whole purpose.
I feel like I do a couple, like, we enter a secret passageway and then we go through a known passageway, and actually, like, what I've done is made sure that you guys don't know how to get back to where we are. Like, we are now in a passageway that you're like, I know we went through hall 12 and then cut back, but, like, have intentionally made it so that nobody really has the knowledge. You're very small and young. I don't know if you can be trusted yet. You seem nice, but I feel like Stuck has like a weird possessiveness around the keep. Like, is one of the is probably like in the same way that I feel like if gargoyles were sentient, they would be like, well, I don't care that you're the current nobility or whatever.
You're gonna be gone and dead one day.
Yeah.
Aoife, you normally have like a 15% chance of picking locks, of opening locks. Would you roll just some percentile dice and tell me? Actually, roll a d20 and tell me if you get a 1 to 3. And then if you get higher than that, we will do some. We'll just kind of count that against time rather than against failure.
Ooh, I got a 10.
Okay. So it's taking you a while to pick this lock, and it is getting darker and darker and darker. Are you guys? Did you think to bring light? Yeah, there's certainly like simple little plasmic lanterns and things like that. But did you think to bring light as it is getting darker and darker? As there's no more light drifting in from the sky, or there's less and less.
Neris did, but I don't also know that I don't think it would immediately occur to her to pull it out when it starts to get dark. More so than is this goes into FO's room theoretically?
This is just going into the series of hallways that become the secret passages of the royal apartments.
Okay, cool.
I feel like I realized this, so this is a cool little thing on the little playbook. I don't know what this means mechanically, but I can guess that you can usually call for or find lanterns, lamps, rope, torches, or candles, knives, clubs, and books. So I think that I realized that it's getting a little dark, and I'm like, oh crap. and just like bound down a hallway and come back with like a few candles, and nobody really knows where they came from. That I probably just like grabbed from a wall somewhere, but wouldn't generally carry them around. Would be more be like, oh, I know where I can grab that from should I need it. Like I know where the closest of these things in this section of the castle is.
Nice.
Keep, castle, same diff.
I think the question I've got right now is, Aoife, do you want to keep working slowly? Which could take a while to get this, like by the time like you've got like all the lockpicks in place, it could take a while. Or do you want to have somebody just force the door?
Does it look, it doesn't look like rusted shut or anything?
No, people have used it. Maybe not the last month, but since a year ago, it's been used.
Okay.
Um,
I think that kind of like she looks around the group and is like, the thing is that the person most likely to force something open after getting frustrated with it is also probably me. but she's, yeah, if somebody is, if like Naras or if anybody else feels really like frustrated and is like, no, and shoves her aside, feel free. But she would either keep going or is also willing to kind of like be like, and just kind of like try and push it open.
Would you roll a d6 and tell me what you get?
D6. Okay. I did also find a percentile die if we need one. That's a 4.
A 4. All right. You finally give up and sort of force it. Just kind of put your shoulder into it.
Yeah, I'm like, the thing is about lockpicking is you just gotta loosen it up a little. And then she's just like, that's the main part of it.
And as soon as you put your shoulder into it, you hear a pop.
Oh, is that?
And it's like the area behind the deadbolt just sort of popped out of place.
Oh.
Okay.
And so can she turn the lock and just swing it open then?
Oh, you don't even need to turn the lock. The lock is not going back anywhere.
Okay, awesome.
The lock has knocked the door frame beyond it.
Good handiwork.
You know, like I said, you just gotta loosen it up. She just kind of like, I assume, crashes through slightly with the force of having leaned everything onto it.
The murmuring you constantly hear from the secret passageways during the day does not seem to suggest that anybody heard you. But as you move through these secret passageways, you definitely hear Eppo whistling a very sad tune. And you hear some of Taggart's servants sort of murmuring to each other in sort of low voices. You can't quite make out what they're saying. And those are coming from kind of two different areas. What are you looking for and where do you want to go? And this is pretty much anybody can hear these things. So,
I mean, I'm going to go take this. I am going to go take this food to Eppo because I indicated to the kitchen staff that's what we're doing. And so I do realize more food might not come if I don't do that.
Are you just going to walk in to Eppo's essentially like armoire?
Yeah, this is 100% the, hey, I brought you food. I'm supposed to be here. Don't ask why I came to the secret passageway.
Yeah. Don't ask why I'm bringing bread out of your armoire.
Yeah. And so, no, I mean, like, I'll give the normal, like, whatever knock that we give before we come in on shift, just so, like, to create a sense of familiarity, but also not to, like, tip anybody else's hand.
I think
You
I
give-
want to like follow you in, but not be seen. Like I'm gonna like use your bulk and just like tuck myself into some part. Whether it's like the other side of the armoire, like whatever it is that I'm like, I just want to not. I'm just gonna find a shadowy spot in case like confrontation happens, because I don't fully trust that you're just gonna walk in through the armoire and not get kicked out. And so I'm just gonna like sneak behind you and be like, and then if you get booted, I'll at least be in here and can listen.
You recognize several things just looking through the armoire door into this well-lit room beyond. Is that Eppo is reading something and whistling. There are some people who have ducked into the room, spoken rather sternly to Eppo, and then seem to be leaving right this second. This is before you knock.
Yeah. So we'll let them pass out of the room, and then once they've closed the door, I'll give the familiar knock and step in.
Yeah, Eppo just sort of sits bolt upright and then turns and was looking for the source of the document. It's just like, have you been in the armoire all this time?
I mean, not the entire time.
How long have you been in the armoire?
Long enough to know. I mean, I didn't see that, but I did see what just happened.
Okay, all right. And you've brought bread.
I brought bread. I brought some cheese. There's soup. It's probably cold now. But I did manage to get this, and I'll pull out the tart and I'll put it on the tray also.
Will the person retrieving the tray also come through the armoire?
Oh, probably not. And I can just take it with me also.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry, I've never been arrested before. I have no idea what I'm supposed to.
Yeah, I look back at the armoire. I was like, so what did you get arrested for?
Kidnapping, possible murder.
Well, I mean, you had a busy night, but you didn't kidnap or murder anybody.
That's what I've said, but apparently there's time I was in my quarters that I was not accounted for. So,
I mean, I guess who did you kidnap and murder?
I didn't kidnap and murder Taggart that I know of.
But that's who they're saying you kidnapped and murdered.
I am the leading suspect, apparently.
Kidnapped and murdered, or kidnapped or murdered?
Kidnapped or murdered.
Okay.
Possibly sequentially, at least kidnapped, possibly murdered.
I want to run through a couple scenarios. I know that it's a parlance, but like, wouldn't it really more be abduction and murder, because they're not a child? I mean, if anything, you're kind of their child. I don't want to get pedantic, but did you at all try to have the conversation about the fact that those terms don't at all fit?
I feel like at this point, Cal's gonna walk out the armoire.
There's a very small groan from under the bed or whatever.
Y'all, shush.
How many people are in the room with me?
How many people are in the room with you?
I think Aoife sticks her head out from the armoire like, well, if we're all coming out now, I guess if this is what we're doing.
Is this a setup?
No. Do you want to? I mean, like, I think it's probably best for you to stay put. I just need to know what they said. I just need to know what they say happened. What they think happened.
It's very unclear, but I'm the only one with a lack of an alibi.
I mean, that seems odd in a castle, in a keep full of.
I mean, that would have access
okay.
to the
I thought Nazir was your ally.
Oh no, I have an ally up to the time that Nazir did the pre-dawn guard switch, and then I was supposedly in my bed, which meant Kendall wasn't in the room with me.
How long was that?
I honestly, I was asleep. I don't really know.
I mean, it was
there's conceptually time between 5 a.m. and 11 a.m., but I'm really unclear on what goes on.
There was, I mean, it was not a long time. So here's the deal. If you leave this, like, you could come with. If you don't want to be in here, we can get you out. That's fine. I don't think that's the best choice. I think the better choice is, for right now, for you to know that you can walk out that armoire if you want to, but also not to do that until it becomes absolutely necessary to do that.
You should probably wait until one of us can go with you. I mean, do you really want Eppo lost in the passageways?
No, not at all.
Right,
I
but
pull out, I like find a little piece of paper and a pen and look like I'm writing out like a Game Boy cheat code, like left, right, down 3 steps, left, right. And I'm just like here and just like shove it into like an arm or like a boot or something. If you need to leave, this is your way out.
so who was the one who was interrogating you?
It was my mother, the Archon.
So you've seen her today.
I am her child, so that when she realized that her spouse was missing.
Yeah.
I mean, have they
Sometimes parents aren't that, all about where their kids are sometimes, but that's good. Did she
I'm
seem
21, so I hope she's
Yeah.
not all that about where I am at most times.
True.
Yeah, I'm
but
sure
she
that
didn't
they
seem
don't.
weird besides being upset. Did she seem just upset?
Well, I mean, there's the whole like Taggart's missing, and
Understandable.
Taggart and I had been quarreling.
That's about
really just personal properties that I thought were being sort of like left in my charge that had been during the marriage negotiation had been supposedly moved to Taggart that I was not completely aware of, and made management decisions over. And
gotcha. Normal everyday stuff that everyone deals with.
Everyone deals with this kind of.
You live so short to care about stuff so much. As I'm like pocketing like something from a table somewhere.
I think Cal's gonna say, but Apple, you're saying you didn't do this, right?
Why would what? I
didn't. You had nothing to do with Taggart's disappearance.
No, I had nothing to do with Taggart's disappearance. That would.
May I? And I'm going to reach out my hand. So I would like to use ESP, please.
Yes. Roll a 2d6. Do you have a wisdom bonus?
Yes, I have. I'm good at that. Although I rolled really badly last time. My wisdom is +1, and I rolled a 7.
All right. You are in good shape. So let's have you you essentially get that Eppo is completely clueless.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I thought I would check.
But also, desperately frightened of Gareth.
Can I ask why?
You would need to do that out loud, or say something out loud to sort of get him to like think of why.
Why are you afraid of Gareth?
Oh, who said I was afraid of Gareth? That's absurd. I
did.
The instigation of just every. Sometimes they're fine. They're just sitting around scowling at everyone. And then sometimes you go see Gareth and there's like this smile, this really creepy smile. Neither of you have ever seen the creepy smile. There's just really enraging, creepy smile. And that's when they spring some bit of information or a precedent or law code that makes me look like a fool. And that sort of throws me off for the whole conversation with Taggart.
I told you it was bad news. I think she whispers to Daenerys. I knew it.
You were right.
Thank you.
I don't know that anybody's ever challenged you in this. Just like nobody has any confirmation.
Oh, I know that. Now I know that Gareth hates her. Like
Right.
I know that. That's
But not that,
obvious
not
to
that he's like a
everyone.
bad person.
But like nothing more than just he
like,
hates.
everybody knows he's a
right? Like-
jackass.
Yeah. Everyone's like, stop interpreting someone's personality as a moral thing.
But neither of you have seen this creepy smile.
Oh, okay. So it's not the expression she's on his face last
And then
night.
like when you talk to him about it later, he pretends like nothing happened. Creepy smile sounds more like a thing that was on his face last night,
Yeah.
Like he just scowls at you.
Right.
Sounds like we know who you need to talk to next, Cal.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're all gonna stand here and watch you eat, just in perfect silence. That's part
The
of
Aoife is already like climbing back into the
that's
armoire.
part of being in house arrest. Is that people have to watch you eat.
He drinks the tomato soup and then eats like a third of the bread, then wraps it up and sticks it in his desk.
And I guess that's fine.
What happened to the tart?
He's putting it in like on the edge of his nightstand.
Would he notice if there was a bite out?
Do you need anything?
No, he doesn't. Do I would like normal life to resume quickly.
Yeah, you need anything specific for today or tomorrow? I know you'd like your life to resume today or tomorrow. I'm working on it.
I don't need anything other than normal life to resume. Perhaps my step parent to stop accusing me of things.
I mean, I guess if she's dead, then that won't happen. I look at the other two and I'm like, oh, sorry.
And Cal doesn't look upset, but Cal's like, and like looks over at Aoife to be like,
Yeah, Aoife looks pauses mid climbing back in the armoire and just sort of looks determined, like, and that is what we are gonna make sure is not going on. And
what's the plan from this point? Where are you going next?
So we have a missing body. Slash a missing, maybe a live person. Maybe.
yeah,
You know where's a good place to hide a body?
it's not. Is it past dark yet? I think it's like we had a deal.
Great place to hide a
We
body is the
had a
place they
deal.
put the bodies. Do we
I look
wanna,
at my arm sundial or whatever in the dark hallway, and I'm like, we had a deal.
It's a dark dial. It only works
Yeah.
in the shadows. I would love
you
to look
could
at.
see from Eppo's window that it was getting on well into sunset.
Yeah, I would love to look at Taggart's room before we go down to Ghost Town.
And if we run into Gareth on the way, I think that's what Aoife's plan is like, obviously there's something up with him. He's being mind controlled, maybe.
Also, here's the thing. Maybe we don't all go into every room. Like maybe only people who have plausible deniability to be in a room, or only one of us getting caught at a time is a good thing.
Yeah.
I had to know what he was thinking. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah, in the hallway, Aoife's definitely like, do you need anything, Eppo? Wow, let's make sure that Eppo has everything he needs. That will definitely, don't worry, Neris will make sure that Eppo is well taken care of.
Sure. Yeah.
It's
Okay,
like-
great. I'm sorry that I do my job.
Somehow popcorn has emerged. I'm the imp version of the popcorn emoji as we walk through the just like, yep, just
Cal also just walks past and grabs a handful from nowhere and just keeps walking.
I will tell you what you can see is that there's a few entrances to the consort's apartment that you can try. One to the study, one to the the sort of sitting room area, and one to the personal bedchamber. You know that Taggart was aware of the one in the study and sort of like put like a latch over it discreetly. But from this side, you can see Taggart did not seem to know about the one into the armoire, the classic armoire secret door, or the one into the sitting area. You can tell there are people yelling in the sitting area, and there doesn't seem to be any noise coming from the bedroom chamber.
Oh, I think some people should listen to the yelling, and some people should look in the bedroom.
I am not sneaky, so I don't want to go into the bedroom, but I want to know what's in there, so I could maybe listen. I'm
like halfway to the bedroom. Somebody said go. Like I've never. I feel like probably I still have a lot of intrigue about like the fancy quarters that I've never had access to, and I'm like, no, people yelling, whatever. I want to root through a bedroom. That sounds great.
I'm just gonna say, Stuck, please don't steal anything that they'll notice. That's all I ask.
Aoife has a thing called hear noise, and does that mean that I could decipher what people are saying if I'm listening?
In this case, they're talking loud enough.
Okay.
I mean, the barriers between the secret passageways in the rooms are not super dense.
Cool.
So your hear noise bonus would be so high about how easy this is that there was no point in having to roll. But yeah, you can tell that it's really Gareth yelling at the other of the consort's bodyguards, and the other bodyguards yelling back at Gareth.
That's
like
unusual.
They're just arguing about like, you know, the missing and what they should be doing, and how they should be investigating more aggressively, but that's the Archon's job. And
so they said missing, not body.
Yeah.
So that's good. I'm gonna turn to Aoife and be like, mouth, like, that's good.
Yeah. She just kind of is like, yeah.
It's like hand on the shoulder, ear back to the door, see if I can hear anything else.
I like how the noise is just like reverberating into the hallway, but y'all are both like pressed up against the door. I was gonna go into the other room with Stuck.
So who, like Stuck and Neris going into the bedroom?
Yeah.
Yes.
There you can get in pretty easily. Bedclothes are just tossed around. Clearly there was either some sort of struggle or attempt to like remove the consort hastily, which either the consort was resisting or was unconscious and being unwieldy. But some attempt to get the consort out very, very quickly.
What's the consort's like? I mean, I would know this only passingly. What is the consort normally up in the morning? Like, what is the consort's schedule like?
The consort usually takes exercise around, a little before breakfast.
Okay. So the amount of
begins business.
Right. The time gap that's being proposed. Not only was I with FO and I'm relatively sure this is all crap, and we have a psychic rating that confirms similar things. The time gap here is incredibly small, theoretically, and they would have had to get her out the main, either through these passageways or out the main hallway, which seems not likely. Are there windows or other ways in or out of here?
There are windows. You are three floors up.
And there's nothing. There's not like a conveniently placed fruit stand right below us or anything else like that.
No.
A rope ladder they left out since this morning.
With the sun going down, is the east tower in sight from any of these windows?
You can't see the east tower from. Yes, you can't see the east tower from. That window, the consort's window.
I cannot.
You can.
Okay. Is there a star there?
Not right now.
If I think back to the night before and think about where the star was looking, is this the direction the star was looking?
Ooh, roll a d6 real quick for me. What did you get?
I rolled a 4.
You do think it would not. It's hard to be precise, but at least in your head, it seems plausible.
Okay. Is there blood?
There is no sign of blood. Other than the bedclothes in disarray, there is no sign of physical violence.
Okay. So is there any sign of... Yeah, so there's no sign of violence either, then.
Right.
Other than... Okay. Seems like a big jump.
And there's no sign that, the window is not open. So you're not seeing any sign that, of course, it would not be hard for anybody still inside to close it, but...
Right. However, overwhelmingly, it's like, this is a messed up room, and we're somehow a missing person, or murdered person potentially. All right, what you got, Imp? Like, what are you stealing?
I mean, did they just walk them out of here? Like, they wouldn't have just...
You do, as an imp, have a weird sense of when magic's been used, don't you?
Oh, is that what Dark Lore is?
It is sort of a... yes, let's use it for that.
That's...
you get a sense that it may just be the use of like a old ash, like from tree wood, in the covers, but there's something that's been done magically here.
There's like some kind of residue.
Yeah, there's some sort of like residue of spell components.
Magic dust.
Yeah.
There's pixie dust just everywhere on this bed. Oh, interesting. And I don't... So, like, do we know, since the sorcerers have left, like, is magic pretty rare? Like, is that not a thing? Like, that would be of note because not a lot of folks...
Innate magics are I hate to say common, but you know people who bring in innate magic somewhat like Hal does, but you don't have a lot of people casting spells in an organized way. Now, you do have people who will just kind of go make rituals happen, but you don't have a lot of people who like do like spellcraft the way the sorcerers did.
I dislike what this means about the catacombs. I'll like point it out, be like, I'm upset. Like this shouldn't happen here. Although it answers some of your questions about how they got in and out, potentially.
Right. Or how they made her go to sleep, or how they,
Yeah.
you know, immolated the body with no remains. Like, I mean, any, you know.
Yeah.
I say immolated the body with no remains as we're walking back up to the
You're saying that, and I'm like taking a piece of clothing that's really fancy and just putting it over myself way too big, and you're like, immolated the body, and I'm like, ooh, this looks kind of nice as we like walk back.
As we're like stepping out of the armoire, and that's what y'all hear us say.
That's
Cal's like looking at both of you being like,
What? What did you learn from there?
Oh, not a lot. There's no actual sign of physical violence. A spell was cast. I think the star that was looking around last night was probably looking over in this area, but that's all. I mean, like, I don't know that it was anything specific. Magic has a lot of different effects.
Yeah, if it was, I think Eva's just had in her hands, like, if it was a physical person who wanted them taken, we could deal with that. But if just some, like, god or spirit wanted them, what are we supposed to do about that?
You make so many leaps.
Yeah.
You make so many leaps. Just a lot of leaps. I'm not saying you're wrong.
We're not saying that there's not a dark god who stole the consort. We're just saying, like, that's a big jump.
A man smiles and they're on drugs or whatever. Like a person smiles and they're on drugs.
Specific person.
As says they're on drugs. They're trying to overthrow the kingdom.
Under his breath, Cal's like whispering to Squat. I mean, like, don't bring up Gareth. Why are you bringing up Gareth at this time? This is a bad time to bring up Gareth.
Would sorry, I blinked up. Cal and Aoife, would you both roll a d6 and tell what you get?
Oh, y'all don't have the magic protection from the
6
ash dust.
I can't hear you, Danielle.
That's a 1.
A 1. Nice. Okay. Yeah. You hear several people just stop talking to each other. Like the argument has just gotten to that point where everyone's going to stop talking. And then you hear somebody just walk out. Like that sort of like half-ass slam. Like somebody like started to slam the door and then they just thought better of it. So they just kind of closed it really firmly. And they're just like, and you hear voices that are not Gareth's just start low saying like, well, where's he going? What a child. Like, you know, accuses us and calls us incompetent. And you just hear all this sort of like conversation about Gareth as if he were not there.
I wish I had a Cha build for this character. Right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got a plan, I can talk to a human, but it's not great.
Yeah. Cal is definitely the one we want. Charming. I think Aoife's like as great as it would be to say how irrational I am. I have a thing to go do, and is like heading off to go.
Hold on. Do you want to go do that, or do you want to find out what Gareth is up to?
Yeah. I think she's like she wants to go down the passageway to go. Like, I assume that there's one that intercuts with this hallway, so she can pop out.
Oh, you're
Like-
gonna pop out into a part of the castle you're not supposed to be in. For sure.
I'm good at sneaking. I'm not gonna pop. I'm not gonna go boo. I'm just gonna be in the hallway behind him. You know, there's all those like suits of armor down this hallway. I
Are
can
we all
just
doing this? Are
I
we
can
just?
just stand behind one. I
Is
gotta.
anyone- what's the plan? Aoife's going one direction, and
I think she needs to bring Cal to see what's up with him. We'll see what's up with Gareth. Are you guys coming, or are you guys going to the catacombs?
If we grab Gareth and he's in on this, he's going to attack us.
But can
I-
you?
I can't. I need to touch him, and he's gonna know that I'm
Just
in
a
there.
secret touch.
Yeah. Is there?
you technically just have to be close enough to touch him.
Does it not say I have to touch? Am I
Just
reading
to be
this wrong?
close enough. You have to be close enough to touch.
Oh, that seems bad. Oh, okay. Okay.
So technically, like if you were able to get like really close to them, but you wouldn't have to.
Physically touch them.
Yeah.
I want to go to the
Okay.
Archon's room, which I don't know if that's the correct direction he's headed or not, but I am curious.
So where are people
Sounds
headed
good.
now? And who's headed where?
If Aoife wants me to go and try and do this with Gareth, I will go with Aoife.
And Stuck, where are you
Yeah.
headed?
I think I will probably stick with my bud here. I will let them go deal with Gareth and be like, sure, yeah, whatever. We got a fun.
There's more rooms to look in here.
Yeah, I don't care so much about people as I do their stuff, but
Maybe
Okay,
there's
the
magic
two-
stuff in the Archon's room too. So yeah, let us know.
So the two of you trying to get to the Archon's room. The two of you are following Gareth, hoping to intercept him in a hallway.
Sneakily, yes. Maybe just like walk behind him close enough that
Everybody,
Cal
What
can
could
get a
possibly
Bluetooth
go wrong?
connection.
roll me a d6 and tell me what you get.
Do I get a bonus for hide in the shadows?
I will call for hide in the shadows if you need it on this. 'cause
Oh, okay.
We're going to see how
Sorry,
bad you do
Tonio.
first, then we're going to see if you need to hide in the shadows.
I got
Since-
a 2.
A 2.
I got a 1.
I actually am good now because that's.
I got a
both
2 as
groups.
well.
Good lord. So what I just did for people at home is I had them roll their own surprise check, which is really sort of like your group stealth check. On a 1 or a 2, you adjust it up or down for different character types. They have surprised someone, which is really sort of like a just basic, no one knew you're coming. It also generally gives characters in most situations a chance to like, oh, if I was going to surprise them and I know they're there, I'm going to I'm just going to navigate around them or do something else. And what was that? Sorry, Cal.
Sorry, I have a thing that says only surprise on a 1 in 6.
Oh no, that was a prize check for you.
Oh,
on
okay. Oh,
the
I
people
see. I
You're
see, I
going
see, I see.
to, yeah.
Great.
I checked.
Because I was like, oh, we've definitely failed.
In general, yeah, no. In general, I would also roll a surprise check for the people you're sneaking up on, but they have no way of knowing you're coming. You're in a secret corridor. So let's start with Gareth, who is walking along, and you are stepped out somewhat behind him as he sort of like hurries along this sort of long armored, the decorative armors in the corridor, and you're closely following him. The bodyguards and guards in the Archon's quarters, or around the edge of the Archon's quarters right now, are not terribly populated, Stuck and Neris. What did you want to do? And they're all sort of outward focused. What did you want to do? Spy on, catch, see?
Did you want to ESP him?
Oh no. I want to check real quick with the two of you over in the Archons.
Oh, what did we want to do?
Yeah, what do you want to do?
How many entrances are there?
You can get to sort of the sitting room, or to sort of a servant's area in the sitting room. You can't get to the private study without sort of passing through.
Yeah, private study is my 100% my goal here.
I was going to say, I think the private study is the goal. So whatever room we have to go through to get there.
Probably servant's space to private study is probably going to make the most sense.
All right.
I'm happy to, I don't know if you're very sneaky. I'm happy to like pop out and take a look and like wave you through. And
I can be very sneaky sometimes. But the problem is if I'm not very sneaky and I'm inside a castle, it's very obvious that I was not being sneaky. So
you don't say. I think I've probably seen that happen before.
Maybe. And so I mean, I'm my dex is I'm reasonably sneaky, but yeah, why don't you go ahead and pop out first?
I'm very small.
I think
so yes,
normal
I will
flow
pop
is,
out and like check and see if the coast is clear, and then do a little buddy cop scene, I guess.
Use the familiar knock.
Yeah.
Let's see. Why don't you roll that d6 there?
You want to roll another one?
Yeah, you're looking for a 3 or less.
I rolled a 1. Oh, good. 3 or less. Great. I'm so used to ones. I'm so used to being nervous about ones. I rolled another one.
Yeah, you pop out, you immediately get into shadow, and you can signal when the guards go past.
Cool.
Or when people come into and from like the Archon sort of like private bedroom where they seem to be sort of retired for the evening. Very early.
It's been a long day.
It's been a very long day. They got up early.
So whenever I think the coast is clear, I'll be like, great, let's go.
What are the two of you doing with Gareth? I think if you want to get close to him now, you can try to ESP him. You're probably not going to stay stealthy though if you get close to him right now.
I can make up an excuse about why we're in this hallway if it covers for Cal.
You can also hide separately.
Yeah.
Unless you're like, oh, I'm going to make up an excuse, but that's.
Yeah. But I don't think she would do that if it meant like abandoning Cal, but like if that would help somehow, then she's cool hiding. But yeah.
I think Cal's like very much like, I'm following your lead here. So if you're like, we're gonna wait until we get to a point, but also I understand that I assume that Aoife is like quite determined to make this happen. So if Aoife's just gonna jump out there and be like, all right, I'll give you an opening, just stay here, and like you're gonna go out there and cause that, Cal's not gonna stop you.
Yeah.
Cal's definitely following your lead.
Yeah, tell me.
I think that she wanted to see if we could do this as stealthily as possible, but you're saying like if he uses ESP, then Gareth will know.
It's more than just getting that close to use it.
Okay. Yeah.
They also if I fail, they will know it's me.
Okay, yeah. Then I think Aoife will go against all of her training and all of her stuff and just totally step out and be as if she's kind of stumbling in the corner and be like, oh my gosh, Gareth, I'm so glad to see you. This has been so strange. I've been looking for the consort all day. And like she's just gonna like just kind of like make a whole scene like like and then the dinner, have you heard anything about the dinner? I was supposed to entertain these nobles and now it's canceled. Do I need to leave the keep? Like, if something happens to them, then
Super unusual. Gareth turns around and looks at you and just gives you sort of like a hapless, confused look. No scowl, no glower. And just looks at you rather blankly, like he's looking for your name in his head.
fantastic. Yeah, it's been
I'm sorry, you're
Aoife.
Of course, Aoife. Yes, Aoife. There won't be a dinner tonight.
Okay, so I'll just wait until they call me, yes? You know where to find me in all the usual places.
Oh, of course. Yes, yes, yes.
And she's just like making eyes at Cal, like,
Do the thing.
behind. Yeah.
Cal sneaking up behind like this.
Mining the force field of energy that
Cal,
the ESP pose.
Yes, the ESP pants.
with your wisdom bonus, I want you to go ahead and just get an 8 on 2d6. 8 or 5.
Okay.
I mean, that's
a
could be-
9. Plus 1 is a
I
10.
say that was a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, but I roll bad, Tony.
Can confirm.
Ooh.
Cal, this is whatever you are reading is creepy and dark and not tuned into the world around him. Like he's just like he needs to get somewhere to talk to the sorcerer.
Right. That's what he said, the sorcerer.
No, that's what he's thinking right now. Is I need to get somewhere to talk to the Like I need to get. He's thinking about like going down into the catacombs to find the sorcerer so he can report. Is what he's thinking right now, and he's completely lost on who this person is he's talking to.
Okay. I think like hearing all of those, like just hearing those words is enough to like scare Cal. Because although they're magic, it's something they don't understand, and someone that like can like so they're not messing around here. So they're gonna
also not at all like Gareth's thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I've probably read Gareth's thoughts before. Like if he's it's probably happened. Yeah, it's gonna be a quick like. I'm not hanging around for a minute that I can. I'm just like I back off. I like. Give the sign, like look towards the tunnel, and then I like jump back in, and be like, "We're going, like get out of here."
Yeah, I think.
What does the average person think of like the sorcerers? Like if they've been gone for 150 years, do people like? I mean, is that like a thing that people? It's like, is there a fable or a tale that gets told about it?
Families that like that have sorcerers sort of in attendance, but like they've not been in attendance in Barrow Keep. Like they're
we're modern.
Spellcraft is generally like regarded as somewhat superstitious, even though lots of people cast their own luck charms and like try to foretell the future.
I also feel like Stuck has just told me that sorcerers are bad news for like the past like year that I've been here, and I've befriended this little. He's like, "Don't talk to sorcerers; they're bad."
For Stuck, because they will send me back
into
to
familiars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Aoife is like, great to know the dinner's canceled. Thank you so much, and just kind of like nods and then like leaves and ducks into the secret passageway in the around the hall, around the corner.
Very good. Very, very, very good.
I love that we weren't like reconvene in the kitchen in an hour. Like we were just like, I'm going this way, you go that way, whatever.
No, I mean like I'm gonna like grab Aoife and be like, "There's a sorcerer in the catacombs, and we need to find Stuck and Nazir right now."
Right behind you.
Let's find out what they're doing as the Stuck has cleared
Halfway
their way
across the
for
room, I'm like,
private
you know what?
study.
We don't need to do this. Just kidding.
You just like lost all nerve. You're like, nah, it's fine.
Yeah, so we had got out into the servants area, but we need to make our way to the study.
Yeah, and like you can see, you saw when the guards came through, you hid very ably. We're able to signal when the guards came through. You can get to the study pretty quickly.
Okay,
Great.
What are you looking for?
Doop 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 doop. Yeah, what I would love to find is like, here's my secret evil plan as the archive. I mean, like that'd be great, but I also don't think that's what's going on. I would like to see if we could find a journal or notes, orders, anything that might tell us from the Archon's perspective what they think is going on.
I feel like I'm on the lookout for more evidence of magic. Like I wasn't before, and now I'm like,
There's
I have
no
a fear.
Do you want to make an intelligence check real quick?
I would. I always love to.
Oh, so that was for Stuck.
Oh, dang it!
Well, I rolled a 6.
Oh, nice. You're not seeing any spellcraft signs right around here. The Archon has several sort of like ritual grimoires.
Take it.
Can I take one?
You may. Is there a topic you're sort of generally?
I feel like if there's anything that has to do with, I feel like I probably have a little bit of a lean towards things that have to do with necromancy, since that's how I was brought into the world. So anything to do with like the undead, which probably doesn't happen often, but if there's something around there, or even like, you know, speaking to spirits, or like if that may take on a more folk.
Is there one that says how to
manifestation.
summon your possibly dead consort in three steps or less?
No, there's not.
Or if there's anything about summoning familiars, but I feel like that wouldn't happen. But I feel like I'm probably perpetually on the look for things that like talk about the passageway between where I'm from or the passageway between life and death.
There's like a long, there's like a rather what was I trying to say? Thin tome called On the Spirits of the Dead. And like, you know, when you look at the front piece, it's like, you know, on the spirits of the dead, they're communicating with, binding, etc., etc.
I'm just gonna pocket that.
It's got a picture of you on the back.
Something you wrote 100 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Dedicated to Stuck.
Esquire. Stuck Esquire.
So yeah, that's you've got that.
Cool. But I feel like there's not. This is.
Is there any notes from the Archon from the day?
There's surprisingly few in here. The diary that would normally be in here in somebody's private study, just to kind of literally keep their day notes, like even just the loosest day notes, are is gone, possibly with the Archon in their bedroom.
Okay. Are there any? Can I see?
There are.
Go ahead.
There are several notes on just on, you know, there's several sort of hastily written, you know, orders, like, you know, pinned like copies of orders rather, like, you know, please confine Eppo to his rooms.
No new information particularly though.
No, nothing new there.
Can I see the east tower from this room?
The nice window with the good view would be in the Archon's bedroom.
Yeah, I thought that might be the case. I thought that might be a little bit too forward.
And like no evidence of what, like we know that Gareth was in here and like left. No evidence of drug use.
No evidence of drug use.
Or like what would have made Gareth. I mean, I think we know what would have made Gareth, but there's no like, oh yeah.
I mean, there's the faint smell of like, wine. But that just could be that's
told you.
what like if you're gonna sit in your private study after 9 o'clock at night, there's gonna be
Right.
I feel like you sigh because you haven't found anything, and I'm like, but a book and a new shirt, and I'm like backing cheerily back off.
Are
Like,
you
everybody's all
wearing the
dramatic,
shirt at
and
this
I'm-
point now? Is the shirt now like over your cape?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
And
already
it's probably
wearing
too big, but
something
it's
else,
really
right?
nice.
It's like a wrap on your head now, like
Yeah.
um
It's a dress. It like was just a shirt. Now I'm wearing this like fancy oversized. I look very fashionable. Thank you very much. You just don't know it yet. It's all the rage.
yeah, I
No, I'm
like
just seeing you in my possibly dead Guardian's shirt and being like, this is very inappropriate for our friend Aoife.
are we like the hallway that we just crossed to go from the servants area to this room, is that the same hallway that they're like standing further down at this moment?
you would have to go out the front door, which would definitely call the guards' attention. But you can sort of circumnavigate back around.
That's
To
fine. I was
them.
just curious.
Yeah. No, I think the way Gareth was trying to get away from the royal apartments.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll navigate back around.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're headed toward you guys to try and intercept you to tell you what Cal found.
I once again check my like wrist sundial and I'm like, excellent, the time has come. And like as you tell us this, I'm like, and I've just like rerouted us back to this like stairwell that you for sure didn't know existed, that just like takes us down and down and down. And you're like a little, I picture it kind of like there's just a montage of you continuing to talk about these things, and I'm like, and just like down another step and down another step until we get like really, really deep somewhere near.
I think even as we're going down, I think Aoife's like, you seem really excited. We just said there's a sorcerer in the catacombs. Haven't you been like avoiding magic people stuck? Like, what
Yeah,
happens
I
if
feel
they
like
recognize you?
I mean, I don't like sorcerers, and I'm definitely probably nervous about them, but I do love mysteries and catacombs. And so there's a little bit of a war happening internally of like, I don't really want to see the sorcerer, but I do really want to know what's happening down there. Yeah. Which has
Fair.
probably resulted in like I look very enthusiastic, and half of it is genuine enthusiasm and half of it is just like nervous anxiety. Yeah.
I think Cal's going to turn to Nazir and be like, should we tell the Archon?
Tell him what?
Tell her that we're going to fight a sorcerer in the catacombs.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Oh, that old thing.
This seems like a really bad idea.
but how
I'm
do
not
we
very good at
explain
fighting.
it? Like, what's the my buddy Cal here thinks that Gareth has been possessed and is going to report to a sorcerer.
I mean, that's a good question. Does the Archon know that I'm magic?
Also, we rooted for your private quarters to
We do
find
not
this
need to tell anyone about the passages about any of this.
We just wandered past all of your guards to get into this area. I mean, there's really not an explanation. Like, hold on. And we'll like we see quick segues. We like pop out at the kitchen level and we're like, hey, we're going down in the catacombs. We think something bad's up there. And then I just like grab another tart.
Yeah.
I grab like
Tarts are really
4.
top notch. Your best work. Your
And then I
finest
think I
work.
grab like 5 because and then,
Love it. Fueling us. Mwah.
Yeah.
Compliments to the chef. Amazing. Fantastic. Yeah, I think
It's an Earl Grey custard.
ooh.
It's the best of
Okay.
custard.
Yeah, Aoife's like, she seems to be throwing everyone who has connected to it remotely in like prison right now. So I don't know if talking to the Archon is a great idea. But I'm glad somebody knows where we've gone. I'm not so hot on people knowing where I am at the moment, but hey, it's magic. All bets are off.
So we'll head down to the catacombs, Earl Grey custards in hand.
I thought you were going to say the custard catacombs. And I was like, oh, this is taking a whole different turn.
We head down to the custard catacombs.
Candy Mountain.
Where custards go to die.
Do we have a plan here?
We don't really know what we're going to face, right? We just
Sorry,
know
did you
that
say
there might be a
plan or
sorcerer.
flan? Because I only have the custards.
Give me one of them. That's fine. I didn't eat anything today. I keep forgetting to eat things.
I feel like I don't fully believe that there's a sorcerer, right? Like you're telling me that like there's been like he's mind controlled or whatever, and I like don't fully believe that there could be a sorcerer back in the keep.
I forget, is augury the kind of divination where you can read signs into things? Or
Yeah, but it only works if we have a plan.
I told you a custard will work for a flan in place of a flan.
that's what I'm saying is like,
Read my custard.
Can Cal read the future in our charts?
He can augury can
Like-
sort of detections can just ask a question, and like a yes no question.
Yeah. I want to save that for when I think we're about to die, I feel. Which might be now.
You could ask the question, are we about to die?
I
Or
could.
what-
I
or
would get
what
a
do we
yes no answer
need?
to that.
Or maybe what do we need?
No, it's only yes no questions for detections, which is the really
right.
rough one.
If the sorcerers are back, I want to know. But I don't plan on taking them on.
And it doesn't have to be a really specific plan, Cal, but you do have to like say like what we're going to try to do is.
Are we gonna try and kill this sorcerer? I say to the group out loud.
If they won't let us take, hopefully we can get Taggett back. That's all really I care about.
Yeah, we don't know we don't really know much, right? Like we don't know the status of if there's a body, if there's a sorcerer. We just know that there's people in the catacombs that are spooky. We probably think they're a sorcerer. I guess they were spooky yesterday.
Squad, I'm telling you, they are a sorcerer. I know you don't believe me.
A sorcerer who can control minds and take over bodies. Luckily, we don't have any missing bodies right now.
I think we just want to find out what's happening. We're gonna stay. We, as they say in the biz, if you stay sneaky, you don't gotta get sneaky.
Yeah,
Which
we've been
biz is
doing
that?
a thing.
The imp biz.
I'm not allowed to disclose that information.
Yeah, I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
Like while we're having this conversation on the last couple floors down, like Neris is like definitely like prepping their plasmic pistol. And, like checking all their, they're like, yeah, just a conversation. We'll just go down and figure out what's happening. Like it'll be great.
Yeah.
Like while obviously prepping weapons.
I also love the idea of all of y'all prepping your super fancy plasma pistols and your silver daggers and your halberd or whatever, and I'm like, I have a small knife. Like this.
We gave you the silver knife one time, and it burnt your skin, and so like we just it's been kind of a hit or miss since then.
I feel like you probably wouldn't like it either.
If it burnt my skin, but I mean,
Well, but silver would probably not be great for you.
It's not on my character sheet.
Cal, remind me who Morgod was. I cannot read my own handwriting, so I apologize.
Oh, they are the cousin of the Archon that Aoife was getting into some trouble with, and they were going to duel, and I talked them out of it.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
I'm just everybody's problem this session. I'm sorry.
I also like it because learning about Aoife through the course of play, what probably went down was like, oh, I thought you looked better in that dress the other day, and then it was like, they think I'm horrid, and they want to fight
Listen.
me, and we will now duel.
There's a look in some people's eyes. You just know they say it and then they say it. You know, like Cal knows. Listen, he knows nuance.
Cal knows that Cal has spent most of Cal's life trying to stop you from getting into shit.
Apparently, that's your job for everyone.
Yeah, apparently.
You've gotten down to the catacomb level, and you are moving quietly enough, even as a group, that there's definitely someone with a candle ahead of you
Stab
who
him.
doesn't seem to be aware of you yet, and they're moving very slow and very uncertainly through the catacombs. Just immediately opens out to like a kind of a field of sarcophagi before it starts getting into like the more like older private tombs.
I say, hold this, and I hit my plasma core pistol that's stuck.
Oh, that's an image.
You've heard of monkey with a gun. We've got imp with a plasmic core pistol. And like, I'm going to step into the shadows and slip my shoes off, unbuckle my, like, this is a practiced motion. Like I've done this before. Remove my clothing and then turn into a wolf.
Have you guys seen? Okay, I feel like I for sure have seen you do this before because I feel like I see things that other people don't. But like, have the other two
Have we
seen you do
seen
this
this?
before, or did you just step into the shadows and strip, which would be almost as weird as you turning into a wolf? We've entered the catacombs. Yes, great.
Yeah, no, it's more like hold this, wait here, like step out of the range of immediate visibility, turn into a wolf. I'm totally fine if everybody, like, I love the idea of Stuck being like, yeah, I 100% know what's going on. This is not a new thing, and everybody else being like, yeah, Neris does this sometimes. It's always so weird. And then a wolf always shows up. I don't know what's up with that.
Well, I feel like Cal, there's an argument for Cal being like knows that something is up but doesn't know that you're the wolf. But then maybe also like if I had touched the wolf, I would know it's you.
Right, but I feel like you've never touched the wolf. I feel like you think it's really weird that Neris eats rabbits raw sometimes with their teeth in the nude in the woods.
I see weird things all the time.
Like, you think that's weird. But
Yeah.
I feel like
I
you
love-
must know that Neris is magic, and I just think I love the idea that like Aoife has the least wisdom of everyone, even if she has high intelligence. So she's always like, I have the pieces, and she can just never connect the dots in the correct way. She's just like,
The idea
oh.
that you could watch a quote unquote human eat a rabbit raw and then occasionally they strip and a wolf appears and not connect the idea that maybe that person is also the wolf.
Is this Neris's weird pet? Is this really the time, Neris? Honestly.
anyways, I'm gonna wolfy sneak up on this this individual.
Yeah. I'm not going to make you roll because I did a quick roll, and your wolfy sneaky is like I did a behind the screen roll, and your wolfy sneaky is out of control here.
My wolfy sneaky very good.
Your wolfy sneaky very, very good. You are completely unremarked by this person in a kind of like trousers and kind of a robish jacket. Sneaking along with like a candle, trying to like figure out where they are. Munching on like spice nuts, which are like filling your nostrils as they walk.
I just remembered the significant downside to this spell or this ability. It's that I'm a wolf until morning.
Until morning?
Yeah.
Great news, everybody. The pistol's mine.
Now, had I done this like an hour, it's one of the reasons I had done this like an hour ago, I could have done it at sunset, but I didn't. So, um, yeah. I mean, I'm tracking this Doogie Howser MD.
Yeah.
Do I recognize him?
Looks like mid-40s. I don't think you recognize them.
Do they smell like ash, like burnt ash?
They definitely have like a componenty smell to them, but not that specific component. Well, actually, that specific component, yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm just gonna follow him. Like, is he making his way forward?
He seems to be looking around, trying to figure out what's going on and where he is and what he's looking for. But he seems to note things like on the wall where people have sort of like casually left like candles, candle ash marks.
Okay.
Roll a d6 real quick for me there, since you are well ahead there, Nasir.
I rolled a 1.
A 1, nice.
Ooh.
Way ahead of you, there is another light. Now, getting to that light would require sort of like walking out in front of the
Right.
person who's kind of creeping along, which would
There's a light.
it's low to the ground though.
It's low to the ground.
I mean, not like it's like walking in somebody's hand.
Oh yeah,
low to the ground.
not 300 feet up in the air. I gotcha.
Yeah, it's not 300 feet up in the air over anybody's house.
Right. I mean, this guy's going to be hyper visible to me one way or the other, and I'm moving significantly faster than he is. So I'm going to go check out the other light.
Oh, you're just going to walk past him?
I'm going to try to sneak past him. So like,
okay,
let me narrate the process. It's like scratch on the wall, dart around.
Oh yeah, that works. I rolled again. Y'all can be very grateful that these dice are rolling really low tonight.
So I scratch on the wall, like wait for him to turn, dart around in the shadows behind him. Like y'all see him turn back a little bit, and I'm gonna go check out the other light.
You see Gareth walking along with some confidence. He's actually gaining speed on the person who's following behind him, who seems oblivious. Or may not have like a sharp animal senses.
Right. And he is working his way towards that individual?
No, he's like Gareth is well ahead of
Okay.
this person, and putting distance between them. The individual seems fairly oblivious to Gareth being ahead of him. He seems to think like he seems to be unaware that he is following someone who's immediately ahead of him. He seems to be more looking for something.
I like how I said y'all wait here, but also now realize there's no way for me to communicate anything to them for the rest of the night. So good luck with that, everybody.
Do you have signals with stuck?
We can
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
It is dark. Like you can see that Nasir approached this person, sniffed around them a bit, and then went past them without their noticing. But you are not where Nasir is and can't see the other dot of light ahead of this shadowy form.
Is that like...
Oh, good Lord, yes. Thank you for reminding me.
I have some kind of vision.
So sorry. This is the head wizard that you and Cal encountered in the woods.
What a jerk.
He seems utterly clueless about where he is. Like he's just sort of like prowling around in the catacombs. Like he's hunting for something.
I'm sorry. Do
you say something about that to Cal out loud at all?
Yes.
Cal, that is what you
like whisper it really quietly.
Remember all day is that you saw that hedge wizard walk straight up past the guard, past everyone, into the keep, right past. No one seemed to notice, or if they did notice, they immediately seemed to like lose interest and forget.
I'm gonna like whisper that like it's the gross wizard.
What is he
I'm
doing
gonna
here?
I'm gonna move up a little bit.
No, that's too light. That's too light.
I'm just gonna like move up. I'm gonna start trailing them. I just like turn around and whisper like, "It's the fucking hedge wizard." Sorry, I cursed. And then
Get back here, fucking you little shit! Get back here.
and then I'm just gonna like sneak forward, gun up, like I'm in. I'm not necessarily. I'm sure I know plasma pistols though. Loud noises.
There's noticeable noises, especially when they impact something that falls over.
Yeah, they're more like a zot than they are like a bang.
Yeah, they're not like an explosion or a bang, but there's a definite zot, especially if they hit like rock.
As Stuck is going, I think Eve is like, wait. Is there something you want from them? Like, because I can pick pockets and I can like get their wand or something.
I want their life.
Are you
It's just our friend
I'm here for
who lives in the cubby outside the kitchen, who wanders around in their cute little cloak and takes things, but also is a imp from hell who will steal your life.
But what about their stuff?
I can take that when they're dead.
You're right. Now that you say that out loud, I'm realizing that that's the wrong path to go down.
I'm like trying to teach you to just be a better thief. Like you can steal from dead people.
Stop.
Okay.
Bye.
You have fun then, Cal. Let's just keep going.
We're just gonna let him kill the wizard. The wizard didn't do
What
anything.
do you want me to do about it?
Y'all just pass a bunch of clothes. Y'all pass a bunch of clothes just laying on the ground.
To follow Nasir, you're have to go past the wizard.
Can you grab? I'm gonna turn to Aoife and say, "Grab the wizard."
Grab the whole wizard.
Grab
Just
the wizard.
The whole wizard.
Grab the whole wizard.
The whole wizard, please.
I got the whole wizard.
just in my hands. Just grab the
Got the whole
Grab the whole wizard in your hand.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that she just kind of shrugs and then like I was like, all right, and runs up and tries to get the wizard in like a kind of headlock behind him and like hold his arms back so he can't grab anything.
I have literally no idea what to do here. So
is that a strength check?
Let's start with a strength check. That seems like
Okay.
as good a thing as any.
Is that with a D20?
That's with a D20.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm all gonna make you accomplices to a murder.
I'm gonna try and not let you murder this guy.
Oh, that's a 20.
Oh no.
Nat 20, baby. It's very bad.
I hear
in this
it's
game.
bad here.
It's bad when you're doing a check. Like if you were doing like a to hit, it would work like normal.
This isn't a hit. This is just a strength check, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Right.
Like if you had been
Dang.
like, I punched this guy in the back of the head, great roll.
I mean,
Does this mean you kill him?
oh no.
Oh, that's really funny.
There's a wizard yell which Cal and Stuck are very, very familiar with. And a very, very sudden sense of magic just going off.
When they walk up and see what's there, what have I been turned into?
Is it a cat? Because then I can ride you like a mount.
I mean, you don't have to do that. That's just the first thing that popped into my head.
Somebody give me a D12 roll, and somebody give me a D4 roll.
I
have a
do it.
D4.
I guess I'll do a D12 then.
I got a 3.
1.
31
rounds of sleep.
Legs.
All right. Everyone from where you are sitting stuck, Cal, the wizard, and Aoife just disappear. Aoife, the only person you knew where they were, who doesn't disappear, is Stuck, who's a good bit behind you with a rifle. The same thing for you, Cal. This year, you're well ahead. Sorry, you're well ahead. I didn't mean to include you in that group. It's Cal.
Oh, I assumed you were not including me. That's fine.
Yeah, it's Cal, Aoife, and you are well ahead. And then all of a sudden, back where you're looking Stuck, all of them disappear. Aoife, you can only see Stuck in yourself. Cal, you can only see Stuck in yourself. And Stuck, you can't see any of them.
Like not even Cal?
No.
So can I stand up and yell, whisper yell, hedge wizard? Hedge wizard!
I
just want to talk.
We don't know what your name is.
Where are you, hedge wizard?
Do I have the hedge wizard at least? Even though
we just want to talk. That's why we snuck up behind you.
Genuinely, I wanted to threaten the hedge wizard to get out of there.
You don't quite have him, but there's a limited number of places he could be, Aoife. Like you've got your arms like out, and there's not really many places he can be. You just can't see him.
Right. I cannot.
But we can still see like the environment. It's just the people that have.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
We can't hear. Can we hear people when they talk?
Eva, would you make a D6 roll? You want to get low on this.
Okay.
Yeah, you can hear what Cal just said. You still can't see Cal, but you can hear what he just said.
Okay, I got a 4.
That's not low.
Yeah, it's not a 5.
There's a limited number of places he could be when you went like this, but now he's not in any of them.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you're sort of like, you went out like this to grab, and now you're like
fumbling around. I'm like,
yeah, you're fumbling around.
I'm like, Stuck. This is Cal. This is why you don't mess with wizards. He did a freaking wizard thing. And she's just like muttering while she's like feeling the passageways.
Do I hear Aoife?
You do.
Aoife, where are you? I can't see you.
I'm ahead. Stuck's back there with the gun. Stuck, don't shoot me.
Is there like dust being like shuffled around on the floor?
A lot of, well, it's yeah, in infrared, I guess you would pick a little bit of that up. There's definitely some dust being kicked up.
Like, do I like presumably, like, I don't feel like I'd be very shocked by people like going in my mind. It's like, oh, they're invisible, but probably that means I can maybe think of a way in which I can see them. So like, do they have footprints, or are they like, because I just saw them like Aoife grab, so presumably somewhere near.
Yeah.
Where Aoife's voice is coming from.
is Aoife, since you're right there, why don't you roll a d6? This is going to be your initiative roll. This is not necessarily a fight. I just think it might be helpful to know who's going first. This is a high d6 roll.
It's not a fight yet.
You want high. You want high.
Kill the wizard. He could help us.
Help us.
How'd you do on that d6, Aoife?
Oh, me. Okay,
Yeah.
me first. That's a 1.
Okay.
Yeah, and y'all thought I was irrational. I never jumped out and tried to kill Gareth, just for the record.
He's the single largest threat to my existence. Thank you very much.
I think the sorcerer is a larger threat to your existence.
You would think that. I survived them all before.
Did you guys roll your initiative?
And
I
this
rolled a
is
5 if you need it.
this is going to be, and normally, 1 second. Actually, only one person in the party rolls initiative.
Oh,
cool.
okay. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I'm saying it's okay. Everybody else may have different feelings or
No,
thoughts.
It's not okay.
At @r_ru on Twitter if you want to let him know.
Not
Yeah.
okay.
And Tony, this will affect you because it's going pretty far out.
Okay.
And I'm going to cheat the rules and give you guys your saving throws, just because it feels a little more dramatic. So Neris, you want a 16 or higher on a D20. Aoife and Cal, you want 15s or higher. Stuck, you only want an 11 or higher on a D20.
Well, I rolled a 3.
Well, I rolled a 5, so.
I rolled
I
a
al-
16, probably because I'm so far away.
I also rolled
The
a
one
5.
person who would be least affected wasn't affected.
Behind you, Neris. Sorry, I don't know where I got Nasir. Neris. Sorry.
I think that was Sean.
Yeah. I'm not blaming anyone besides myself.
It's okay. I said Nerys at the beginning of the show, so Neris is fine.
Neris, behind you, you hear the sudden fall of like bodies sinking to the ground. And then you see somebody like take off at top speed, running in the opposite direction.
I hear a sound like bodies falling into the ground, or like bodies being pulled into the ground.
No, bodies falling to the ground, because when you turn around, you see Aoife, Cal, and Stuck passed out. And whoever you ran past, like running away.
I don't know who that guy is at all.
Aoife, Stuck, and Cal, you guys are deep asleep. Stuck, this may be your first real experience of going to sleep.
How novel. How novel.
And Tony, did you want to go? I should have asked earlier. Did you want to go? I think we're right at like 3.5 hours.
We are right at 3.5.
Is this a good wrap up point, or we want to go a little bit further?
No, this feels like a good wrap up point.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be happy to go further, but I love the idea of all three of y'all being passed out and me being a wolf for the night.
Just like Neris, I hope you can figure out what's happening.
Yeah. So just sidetracked from the sorcerers, me being like, "I'll get you, hedge wizard." Sleepy time.
Yeah, it sounds like a great place. Let's do our reaction roll, and then you can also tell us all the secrets.
All right.
So, where we find it? Where is it? There we go. Here we go. Reaction Roll is a live stream within a live stream. It's our chance to sit down with the designer of a game that we just played and talk to them about our experience playing that game. Today, we are playing Barrow Keep. We're using the old school Essentials role-playing system to do so because Barrow Keep is a setting module that you could use in OSR-style play to inject duplicity, intrigue, heresy, and other things all centered around this space called the Barrow Keep. We played today with Richard Ruane, the creator. Richard, tell us a little bit more about Barrow Keep.
So Barrow Keep was an attempt to sort of bring something that's slightly more gothic and a lot more romantic fantasy into an OSE sort of sphere. I really like the connection between kind of classic OSR rules and freeform play. Like we normally think of OSR as just meaning like low character, that not vapid, but shallow character. And like Tony's dealt with my OSR characters before, and they're not always the most emotionally deep people you will ever encounter.
I think Borba is just emotionally satisfying to watch you get played.
Yeah. I mean, like Borba is just there. My Down We Go character is just there to defraud people. He doesn't really have deep motivations for doing that.
Enforcing permits is another big passion.
Enforcing permits by fraud, that are required by fraud. But I really wanted something that sort of like interjected, I think, some of the joy of classic freeform play back into using something like a simple classic D&D system. And so that's what Barrow Keep sort of came from, is like really trying to kind of reclaim some of that sort of deep play of freeform play. And I think that was bringing out some of the beyond the wall energy that so beautifully gets 70s and a little bit of 80s YA fantasy, really kind of the birth of the what we contemporary think of the YA fantasy genre, and pull it into sort of like the 90s series YA fantasy that I fell in love with, that have a little bit more gothic and a lot more like relationship and romantic elements. So Beyond the Wall really goes for that Lloyd Alexander, early Jane Yolen feel, not Jane Yolen, Ursula Le Guin, and Barrow Keep is really going for that Mercedes Lackey, Robin Hobb kind of vibe. So that's sort of kind of where it was. I really wanted to kind of pick up on people knowing each other in character and having sort of characters that had some sort of roots and history together, and then sort of adventure in the place you live, like kind of you're sort of adventuring in the spot where you have relationships and have people you're angry at and want to, or people you care about. So and sort of have that sort of come into the adventure. So that was sort of my motivation for putting together Barrow Keep. It was a fun time. Theodore Rivera was the instigator of Barrow Keep when he asked, "Is there it was a way to do sort of Game of Thrones with OSR?" And then I changed it and decided I wanted to do Mercedes Lackey with OSR. So.
I love it. I had a good time. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's meet again our players and have them talk a little bit about their experience playing. Let's start with Danielle. Danielle, tell people who you are, what you do, and what it was like to play Barrow Keep.
I'm Danielle, and I play a lot of RPGs since last year and having a lot of fun doing that. And my background is in kind of journalism / teaching / working with kids. But I had a lot of fun playing this. You're mentioning the touchstones of like the YA fantasy, and something that I liked about Barrow Keep specifically, and I meant to ask, like you roll for how old you are, and it's like 16 plus a D3, and I like that, and in some of the other materials it uses phrases like coming of age, and I think that like the life path creation was really, really fun too, but I like that it brought that kind of emotional core. A lot of the playbook questions were super, super evocative and really reminded me of I've played a lot of like PBTA and like played a lot of masks and stuff like that. And that kind of vibe I don't feel like I normally see in the other more trad gaming, even if it's flexible mechanics wise. It really felt like there was that kind of blending of that, so it gave us something to kind of role play off of. But I like that it had that youthful vibe to this, so that yes, you're adventuring, and yes, there's intrigue and deception, but it's not like you have to be the wizened sage. You're all still kind of figuring it out, and it made it really fun to kind of have this group of characters. So I really had a good time. And yeah, what is there a particular audience for this that you like? Is this a great way to get people either into OSR, or is this kind of, are you aiming it for people who use it a lot and want something different? Or
I think my target was really more focused on, I find classic D&D and related games really easy to teach people, and I really wanted to sort of more pull in romantic fantasy fans, people who are fans of series fiction, and I find that this sort of genre of games kind of fits what they've heard about RPGs, and so it's really easy, even if they've not played before. It really kind of fits the basics of things they're expecting when they show up for an RPG, and sort of lets them do what they want to do. So.
Awesome.
yeah, I like that it gave us targets for, like, you have a rival, you have an ally, like
Yeah.
going in. And I thought that you did a wonderful job of, like, using the people that we had connections with, which sometimes gets lost. You can set them up, but that doesn't always mean that they come out and play. So
Right.
like
And that's
using
having
them.
a very contained space makes it easier to sort of bring people in that players have created. So.
Damn you, hedge wizards.
Thank you.
Yeah, speaking of which, let's go to Max. Max, tell me who you are, what you do, and what it was like to play Barrow Keep.
Yeah, I'm Maxwell Lander. I make games as well as play them more now, actually. I had a hoot. So one of the things that I think this is just mirroring a little bit of what Danielle said, but I really like the playbook format for a system that is like a little bit like, because I mean, I haven't played, so this is my first experience playing OSE, and I've played like some old school things, and it is a really fun and accessible way to just like access a new system. Because playbooks do also feel really familiar to me. I have played my fair share of Powered by the Apocalypse games, and even though it's not the same kind, like it's not the same
Right.
playbook, it is really nice to have the information that you need presented in that format without going through reading 50 pages of rule book and then constructing that information yourself. This is actually a thing that I'm thinking about a lot in my current design work. But how to like onboard people to a system with like a tool that stands between the person and the actual rule book. And so really enjoyed looking at a playbook model for something that's a little bit more, like a little bit less, like it's not less story, but isn't a story game, right? Like you're looking at like a game that is not classified as a story game, and then giving that like story point access to the system is really nice. Not the least of which because you have one that is the Lost Familiar, and I got to play an imp, which I appreciate. Like the flavor is really nice also, but I think even just the like technical, like the technical format of that in between is really quite lovely. I want to read the rest of the PDF because I want to see all the other flavor, because this tells me that there's a boatload of flavor in there. But yeah, I found that really, really lovely as an access point for picking up a new system and not being like overly worried about whether or not I'd read it all.
Love it. Sean, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what it was like to play Barrow Keep.
My name is Sean Harkin. I play games, I make lots of things. Very varied history. But I had a fantastic time. Like, I really had a great time. I don't want to repeat a lot of things what Max and Danielle have both said, but I feel like I'm going to. But I have also not played OSE before, so this was like a great kind of intro to that. I did enjoy the playbook stuff. My favorite thing was actually like all of the the role questions to generate your character. I've seen games play with it a little bit, but I feel like in this, because you like just start with your base stats and then everything is weighted on there, it really builds your character for you, and then you get an idea in your head by the time you've actually built it of like, oh, this is who this person is because this is what their stats are or whatever. And also how the playbooks are tied into one another. So as with like Daniel's character and my character were both tied to the same NPC. That's like really interesting, and it's an immediate start point where you don't have to do the, well, how are we friends kind of thing. We can just like straight on board of like, yep, we know each other, we go way back. But yeah, no, I think it's a really intuitive system. I think it's a great kind of like Max said as well, like I'm like, I want to see the rest of it, like I want to play this again and like really get into the OSE stuff. But I also think that the way it's written isn't so as intimidating as is a lot of the OSE. Like we talked about the armor class and the thorax, that's Thaco.
Thorac. I wish it was
Thorac.
Thorac so bad.
Sorry. The thorax.
It's now
Thaco.
Thorac.
I'm just being like, I'm very confused, but like also like it, like not just yourself as like the dungeon master, but like also the system is written in a way that was like, okay, I know what I need to do to actually just play.
Awesome. We also just spiked up to like with 17 more viewers. So I'm just curious if somebody rated us. If somebody did, drop a note. Otherwise, welcome everybody. We just finished playing Barrow Keep. You can check it out at the link right below Max. Max, point down. Also drop it in the chat in just a second if you want to check it out. It's a really cool setting for OSE. Sean, did you have any questions?
No, I don't think so. Not without repeating things that were already brought up by Mike. Yeah, when they were talking, I was like, they're stealing all my talking points.
Yeah.
I thought of a question as Sean was speaking. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to have a question.
Go on, steal my question.
I'm curious because I haven't read it yet, and as a person who like often like GM stuff, I'm like, I will be reading this, and I actually really want to like run it, especially because I read the Magic's Pawn trilogy last year for the first time, and so like the connection to that world is like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense, which is one of the lackey books that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but it's just like wonderfully gay and romantic. And so I just had a wonderful time reading through it and thinking about like that kind of world. But when we made our characters and then had these NPCs that we had connected, how much of what you were running was something that you had prepped, or was stuff that you were like pulling from the source as we were giving you information to kind of pull off of it? Because it felt a little bit like it seemed like there were a couple moments where you're like, oh, I'm gonna roll on a table, and I'm curious how much of that was like in there, or how much of it had you prepped. Is it set up to support random things on the fly, or more like building an adventure beforehand?
It's a little more freeform. I think the intro adventures where you're sort of building things in work well if you use one of the scenario packs. I was experimenting with some notes today for a scenario pack, and then I always when I do notes towards a scenario pack that I've not written yet, I'm always tempted to make these really full tables. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? I am the one running it. I can just decide that this is what's going to happen. There's two scenario packs. One in which some shape-shifting goblins who have sort of a city in the woods, who previously had a relationship with a former Archon of Barrow Keep and are very offended that the current Archon of Barrow Keep. And this is sort of I use goblins in the sort of a labyrinthy Fey sense, rather than the classic D&D sense. So these are illusionist shapeshifters who live in the woods and are prone to being terribly offended if at the Vegas slight. There's sort of that, and then there's one that's about one of the aristocrats having a treacherous visitor that they're related to, who is trying to achieve various goals in Barrow Keep. And I was experimenting with something dealing with the catacombs, because I put these catacombs below there and had never really put anything that sort of intro people to them. But I think what I've discovered in running it slightly more long term is that you get out of that first adventure pack, which is all just random tables, and frequently you're filling in the details of the random tables. You put in the NPCs who could be affected, and then you roll randomly to see which ones are. And you put in details that come out of character generation, and you randomly select them. And then by the end of that, you should ideally have like a lot of directions the PCs want to go. Because in theory, nothing you don't ever get to a point where everything is answered.
I think that's the really interesting relationship there technically for me, right? Like I've read a lot of supplements and I've read a lot of systems, but usually the supplements don't have the character bits in there tied in. Like I think that is the really interesting connection in what this is that often it's just like, okay, so I have a supplement, so I give you Barrow Keep, but I don't give you character creation, you know? Like that's not often... at least in the things that I've read a lot of, it's usually like, right, you're coming with a character, we're going to throw this into the middle of a campaign or something. And I think that tie-in is really interesting because it does instantly give us a sense of place as players in this like overarching bit. So I really love that.
Oh, thank you. I have joked before that the only parts of system that I really care about are character creation and magic. Everything else you can just fill in with something.
I will say, like, when I was looking at the character sheet, I was looking at like all of their abilities, and I was like, I could play any of these. Like, there wasn't any that I was like, I don't want to play that. I was like, genuinely, I thought that the characters are really well done. All of their abilities are really interesting, and even at like first level, I was like, I really enjoyed seeing all the things that they could do.
Great. Okay. Yeah.
That's one of the things I was going to note. Like the experience of playing like character creation is great, which I mean, having played Enoch's Wake, having seen, and like one of the things I mentioned about Enoch's Wake, but I'll say it about Barrow Keep also too. Like I love the way that you will constantly blend expectations and concepts that people have from different systems together in really fun and enjoyable ways. And I think character creation is a big part of that for you, obviously, as we've talked about already. But it is like, yeah, though these aren't PBTA playbooks, if you've picked up a PBTA playbook, especially if you played Dungeon World or Stone Top or one of the fantasy ones, the feeling of this is actually very cohesive. Like, you know, you'd feel very comfortable sliding in. There's some extra numbers and other stuff like that, which some of the more complex BBTA systems might have. If you picked up OSE, it's going to feel really familiar to you because you're going to know the core system. If you played Sharp Swords or other OSR systems, like there's going to be a lot of familiarity there. But also each one of the abilities, like you actually make the starting characters, even though their numbers are better than they're going to be on average, right? You give a little bit more of an array to that. Like all of us ended up with at least +3 on things, like, you know, spread out however, and then like sometimes a -1 or whatever, but a fairly balanced.
All of us, and then the imp just cries an imp.
Right.
But this
slightly better. +2 for an
sources.
imp is +3 for a full size person. It's fine. But then like the abilities that each class has actually does make you feel like, oh, I have some competency, which is leans a little bit into more modern sensibilities, right? Like the lethality is still there. Like I jokingly said something about somebody taking like 6 hit points. That's lethal still in this game. Like taking a hit still kills you for the most part at low levels. But like the ability to shapeshift into a wolf, the spells that you got, the ability to like read people's minds, these are all more powerful abilities than we often see in some other systems. So even somebody approaching this from a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition standpoint is going to go like, oh, I understand the cool over the top powers that I have at a starting level. And that type of fusion without it being like, oh, they just did this, oh, they just did that, oh, that's like is really, really challenging. And you always do an excellent job of bringing those other things to play. One of the other questions I had was about the generation of the adventure. Really, I just want to know what was going on.
I want to know what happened.
No, I'm not. We're not gonna dwell on that though. No, but like I said, I think it's absolutely tremendous. It was. I feel like we've talked about this before. Like it was for Zine Quest 2, one of the like it projects. It was very, very well responded to. Not like it was, you know, like a $100,000 project or whatever, but it was a very popular, like very well received project. Talk a little bit about the experience for you of like creating this idea and then developing it out over the course of the last year.
So I was blown away with response to what I kept feeling like was an ill form. Like 2 weeks before Zine Quest, I was certain I was going to write my own OSR system, and then I was just like, no, that's why in the world would I do this? That's just torture for me, because right, I am pretty much known as somebody who like uses OGL systems not because I have some great love of the OGL, but just because it means I don't have to think about things that I'm not really sort of invested in. So my early playtest videos are all like me with people like Michael Lombardi, like experimenting with various like OSRE systems, and then just really announcing the project, announcing I'm just going to go with OSE and Sharp Swords and Sinister Spells. And one was just because I love D&D BX. I run D&D BX a fair amount, and the other is because I both love Diogo's work on his house system, but also Diogo Nogueira is just one of the coolest people in any gaming space. He's kind, he's wonderful, and so doing anything where you get to boost Diogo's work is it's great. They're great games, and he's a great person. So, and then just kind of from there, just taking a deep dive into. I had field tested a lot of different playbooks over like the year and a half that we had just run this as like minimum viable development game. It started with just a bunch of alternative playbooks for Beyond the Wall. Some of them were just barely hacked from the original playbooks. They were, just a few things changed about them. And then we moved it to doing house system, and then to Troika, and then back to house system. And I ran a couple of playtests at Metatopia, which is a sort of a game design festival that does tons of playtesting. And those playtest sessions were really just, which of these characters are you interested in and why, based on like really minimal description. Like, just kind of picking out, like, if I hand you these 5, which one are you going to pick? So it was really run more like a focus group, and got a lot of interest there. Got a lot of great feedback on what people want to see and what they're really kind of fascinated by and interested in. And then from there, really sat down, fleshed out the playbooks, rewrote all the playbook questions, since I wanted to make sure I was not at any point copying anything that the Beyond the Wall folks did. Redid some of the math, just to compress the playbooks. Beyond the Wall playbooks have like, I think, 8 or 9 questions, and I wanted to have 5 or 6. And so just making sure the numbers worked there that way. And then just going through and sort of going back and forth with myself and other people on, how much of this was going to be GM and player generated and how much of this was a starting point. And so the core book has a lot of, hey, you go here and you'll see these things. And they're really designed to be open-ended, really making myself not write about the past of Barrow Keep at all. It was really important to me that in describing a setting, you're always describing the present, so that you don't get into lore overload. I think lore overload tends to come from trying to like detail the history of the setting, and trying to explain how it got the way it was now. And I feel like players don't need that. They need the what am I touching, interacting with? Are the hard parts to come up with. And then GMs can like, how do I build out the past is a GM thing that they can handle frequently based on the interest of their group and the things their players have done. And then I think the last thing we did, which we never get to kind of play with in play testing, just because we're trying to keep sessions moving when we do one shots, is the ritual magic system. It is something I had talked about doing, a system ritual magic system for things like the things that never get picked when people pick spells. They never pick augury or fortune telling or anything like that, because they're always like, well, I've got to have the spell that will help in the adventure. So I wanted the ritual magic system to cover all those things that people are kind of afraid to take like spell casting powers for, and also things that like in fiction, like almost anybody tries to do. It's never just the wizard who's like, hey, let's make a promise to each other and hope the promise is like spiritually binding. We want to like have friends do that. It's not about like going and finding the right wizard. It's about like, making it a friendship thing, or going to the right place. Finding the right place to do the ritual is far more interesting than finding the right wizard. And then bringing stuff in from other writers, having Sharang Biswas write. Once we sort of went into a more Gaslamp tech direction for this, Sharang was able to write sort of a weird mystical train station that will take you between the planes. And then Linda Godega wrote some sections that I didn't get quite to today, but about things you find in nobles' apartments, and if you're navigating a party, who stops you. I was like, where's all the random encounter tables for a party? Like if the dungeon here is trying to get out of like social engagements you don't want to be in, where are all those random encounter tables?
So good.
Yeah. And Linda contributed a lot of that. And then getting to work with my editors and with sensitivity reader Innes Rokebash, and then getting edited by Jarrett and Fiona were just incredible experiences. So
yeah. Awesome.
And then, as you know, Tony, when you do a Zine Quest project, you don't dare push it past the end of the year, because that's when the IRS gets you.
Yeah. That's 100%. And so like you gotta get it done so that you have the outcome on your sheet as well as the income.
Yeah.
And so little game designer thing. Don't design a game late in the year unless you can print it before the end of the year. Like that. That matters tremendously. And so, no, I had a great time. It was one of the games that I ended up backing it digitally, and then later on was like, wait, I didn't get a physical copy of this game. So I would encourage people go check it out at the link down below, or in the description if you're watching this later. Pick up a physical copy of the game. There's a number of places you can, or if you just want a digital copy, those are straight at the link also too, but it links out to all the different places. You can physically buy it also too.
On sale for the next few days.
On sale for the next few days.
On itch.
On it, you can even add community copies so that other people can get it as well. So if you have not picked it up, go pick it up now. With that said, until next time, we still don't have a way to say. Oh wait, no, let me talk about a couple things first. Sorry. Coming on Wednesday, Richard and I will be swapping seats. I will be GMing again for our ongoing series of Down We Go. We've got our Alex Murray joining us for that, along with myself, Marcus Linderum, who wrote Down We Go, has taken over my character Thrag, and Liam is also going to be joining us from the Hobbled Goblin podcast, again as Esterax, the Dark Wizard. It is a minimalist OSR system that we've been itch funding. You can check all that out here on the channel. If you want to watch us play, you can go to ttrpg.link/DWG to check out the game. Also, on Thursday night, we are going to be playing the first crowdfunding game that is going up on GameFound for as far as RPGs go, and that is Vast Grim. It is a Morkborg compatible third-party RPG product that is sci-fi themed. The creator Brian is an absolutely amazing sculptor. He's going to be back here with us for that. But all those things are coming up, as well as a couple more. But until next time, we are just going to wave at the screen and say goodbye until I take us offline. I'm sure Danielle's waving, even though we can't see it.
It won't let me turn my camera on.
That's fine.
Bye.
Bye.